Hello. Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. So one fun thing immediately is I need to turn down my lights because having the white screen on me makes me look like I'm having a problem health-wise. So yeah, while I'm doing that, it was brought up in my last stream that there's a list of top 100 games that I made. Too far. I think I look okay now? I don't know. No, it's too dark. I made a list of top 100 games a while ago. Between like a group of friends. And that's nice. And I haven't updated it since I don't actually know. A really long time. So the idea for the stream is we're going to go through it. I'm going to talk your ear off about my favorite games and some that made the list because of I forgot other games that were better. I'm going to criticize my past self for putting games on that list. And yeah, it'll be a good time. So I'll get the music started again. And we'll get rolling. If anyone wants to criticize me, feel free. Or if you have questions, want additional elaboration, at the end of it, I'll update it with some games that I have off the top of my head. Then we get to do the fun part of eliminating everything and moving it down. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Wow, 1 year. Oh no, how are my alerts not there? Thank you 420 Anime Lord for the subscription. Congratulations on rolling Twinkle Park Big. Ugh, God, I'm such a mess. Congrats on the 1 year. The longest possible sub streak that you can have. Can I put the walking bear on screen? Sure. There's Pepsi Dog. Copy. Paste. And browse. And the bear is Wide Boris. There's bear. Oh no, it copied by reference. Why would it do that? Also, what's up, Axton? How you doing, bud? I hate copying by reference and not by value. Pepsi Dog is that dog. That's the trick. Boris. Bear. Good. Wretch. Good. This part of the screen is not going to be used for much, so. And then music. Sorry, I'm a constant mess, so let me turn that up. That should be good. Alright. No, this isn't the vibe either. Now we're talking. It's gonna go to the evening version, but whatever. So it goes. Alright. Drive this with the old... I don't want to spoil anything, obviously. But we're gonna start from the bottom and go to the top, because what's fun of knowing what my favorite game is right off the rip. Alright, number 100. Fairy Fencer F Advent Dark Forest. So you're gonna buckle into FF6 for the Team NC crossover content, but you can only be bought with real world money. That was bullshit. Yeah, that was garbage. That they're like 15 bucks a pop, I think, or something. It's some like super high amount, and I don't like it. But yeah, thankfully I'm hardened against content like that. Holy shit, that's so loud. Why? Me ears. Yeah, typical microtransaction moment. It is what it is. So honestly, I would probably move this game up in retrospect. If you've never played it, it's a very simple game. It's made by Idea Factory, so you, like, if you've heard of Idea Factory or played a game from Idea Factory or done anything with Idea Factory, you have an idea of what Fairy Fencer F is going to be. But I really enjoyed it because it's like the main character is just an asshole in like an endearing way almost. And the battle system is simple but fun. It's a good game. I think it's worth checking out. I don't think it's 100th. So I should definitely move that up at some point. Maybe I'll do it now, maybe I won't. I don't know. Yeah, good game. And then I'm on the wrong window. Alright, 99. Tales of Zestiria, a game that actually belongs in 99th. Zestiria was... It's an RPG, Tales of series. If you played one, you played them all, to an extent. It did try to deviate from the traditional... Zestiria will not hold on. No, 100% not. So Zestiria did a really cool thing where it deviated from the previous game, which is Vesperia. Vesperia? What are we doing? So I have a top 100 list of games that I think are in order of like best to worst. I'm just going over it, editing it, updating it. Figured it'd be a fun just chatting AMA stream, you know? And then once I'm done with that, I'm gonna play Hot Shots Golf. That's the agenda. So Tales of Zestiria. Vesperia was a more traditional Tales of game where it's a 3D space, you get to run around, you have your arts, all that fun stuff. Zestiria made it a little bit different in that all actions were done via like a chain combo with weaknesses on each attack. So like you'd kind of flowchart your way through your normal attacks, and if you're fighting a dragon, you want to hit the move that does dragon damage and stuff like that. And it didn't really pull it off well. It ended up being really clunky, and there's a key mechanic in the game called armatization that makes you feel dumb for trying to fight not armatized. But it was a departure, so it's going to be experimental, risky, that kind of stuff. It just didn't pull it off perfectly. So it's not a bad game. It's definitely not better than Fairy Fencer F in my opinion. Advent Dark Force specifically, because re-releases. But it did set up the groundwork for Berseria, which is very good, and higher up on this list. Chrono Trigger I don't think is on my list. Honestly, it should be, but it's not. So, yeah, Zestiria, fun game. The coolest thing it did was, it would generate the battlefield wherever you were. And one of the... Do I have a tab for unranked games? No. I have a notepad for stuff that I'm considering adding later. But yeah, in Zestiria, it generates the battlefield around where you are, and one of the first boss fights in the game is in like, not aqueducts, but like a entrenched walking path, and the boss fights on like the boss fight happens in a straightaway, but there's two corners on each side, so like you can round the corner and you're out of sight and like safe. And being able to like leverage that stuff was really cool. Unfortunately, it's like the only time they do it ever. And it gets really janky, the camera sucks and stuff like that. But that's how it goes. But yeah, it's a Syria 99. Rocket League, I'd probably move off at this point. I haven't played the game in years. I have no desire to play the game. It was a fun game for when I did play it. It's just like, it's Rocket League. It's a good game. I just... Ugh. It's Rocket League. Everyone's played Rocket League at this point. It's free to play. Go play it right now, and you can figure out what I'm talking about. It's just a game that like has so many nuanced mechanics that you have to grind for, that people already have grinded for, that I haven't. And I don't want to because I don't get the joy out of it. Because like I got good enough to where I was happy with it, and then I'm like, you can only play as these cars because these ones suck, and then if you switch cars, it completely changes the game, and you know, it's just it's an online competitive game. It is what it is. 97. Final Fantasy 13-2. I fucking hate the story of this game. I hate it. I hate 13-2 for just the story alone. It's stupid. It's unnecessary. Immediately from the rip, it ruins the first game. That's it. Like, the battle system, top notch. You play as 2 characters. It has the 13 battle system in place. You get monsters. It's really cool. The environments are cool. The graphics look good. Stuff like that. 13-2 story is such fucking garbage. I hate it for that. So that's why it's 97th. Tales of Arise. Yeah, 13-2 starts at the end of 13 and goes, you know what? Fuck you. You like these characters? Eat shit. You like how the first one ended? Go fuck yourself forever. Die, basically. It's like a fever dream. And that's the worst part of it. It's like, if you go from one to the other, you're like, oh man, 13 ending? Great. Loved it. 13-2 start? I guess I'll go fuck myself. I hate it. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. Mass Effect 3 moment. I haven't played Mass Effect 3, to my chagrin. I have the remastered trilogy or whatever, the remakes, whatever you want to call them. And I have Mass Effect 3, just it got so much bad press on release. I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it, and I never got to it. Tales of Arise. So already at 96, we've had 2 Tales of games on the list. Arise is definitely one of the weaker ones because the Tales of series generally rides on character interaction. And funny moments and skits that pop up randomly during dungeons, and they generally have a whack story. That's just a trope that they follow. Arise really tried to have a good story. And it failed. Like, the first half of the game is fine. It's Tales of. The back half of the game, one time I sat down, and this is unreal for a Tales of game. I sat down at 9 p.m. I finished playing at 11:30. I didn't fight a single battle because it just blasted me with bullshit cutscene after cutscene. And it was the worst shit. I hated that. The game also had a really good combat system, but never gave you the ability to execute on it. So you have a lot of aerial combos. You can only do those on normal enemies because bosses can't get knocked up. Bosses will just ignore your attacks, and you can't stagger them reliably. And each character has like their way to fit in. Yeah, they can't get pregnant. They can't get put into the air by your attacks. Honestly, yeah, both true. And when I played the game, like, I was like, man, this is fun. I want to be able to do things that are cool. But you can't. So you play fucking Alphen and spam Raining Slash because it does 5 times as much damage as any combo you can pull off, and all the actually good arts are DLC. Imagine gameplay gated behind DLC for a fully single-player game. Stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, the bad character interactions in Arise are really bad because there's 6 characters, and within 5 minutes of eating each of them, it's so obvious that they're getting paired off, like some whack-ass triple date. Compared to Vesperia, where each character has their own thing, and Abyss, where each character has their own thing, and Symphonia, where each character has their own thing. Instead of it being like 6 non-congruent stories that merge into one, it's all these people are meant to be here. How do we get them to have fun together? And the answer is, I don't know, they fuck. And that's the whole game. That's it. If you want anything out of Arise, don't. That's the best advice I have for that game. It's a fine game, though. There's a lot of cool set pieces. There's a lot of cool mechanics. It's just a letdown. 95, Warriors Orochi 4. It's the worst Warriors Orochi, and that's about it. Warriors Orochi, for those that don't know, is a crossover between Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors set in a fucking mystical world. Yeah, I don't know why this... I'll just move that there. Since apparently Bravely Default 2 won't shut the fuck up with the song titles. So yeah, it's a crossover game where you have characters from the Dynasty Warrior series, characters from the Samurai Warrior series, and characters that are unique to the universe. Warriors Orochi 4 successfully jumps the shark by allowing people to like become God mode, but only certain characters. And your whole goal is to kill Orochi, who's modeled after Orochimaru. I'm probably not Orochimaru. Is it Orochimaru, the 8-headed snake? Yamato no Orochi, that one. Sorry, weeb brain took over. So it's building on the previous games. It simplifies the combat so much, and adds so much unnecessary grinding that like the game is fun for a bit, but if you go into like the DLC content, there's just not much to do, and there's other problems like switching between characters is a pain, and there's a huge roster. So if there's a character you like in any of those games, it'll be in there, but it's just not as good as 3. Warriors Orochi 3 is like peak for me. I really like 1 as well. 2 I don't remember as much, but 3 and 1 I know are like better than this. They might not be on here because I probably forgot about them, but recency bias, stuff like that. 94, Yakuza Kiwami 2, the remake of the second Yakuza game. The reason it's so low, story ending is ass. I hate it. Well, I actually like the ending, but I know what comes after it, and that ruins it for me. The combat was the second game that was made in the Dragon engine, I believe, and the Dragon engine was a build from the ground up engine by RGG Studios and Sega, and it took the combat from 0 and 1, which was stance switching, very high pace, very high flare, and turned it into use weapons and throw people. So the whole game just felt like you can only throw someone in the Sotenbori River so many times before it gets old. And it like that's the game. You play the game, you throw shit. You play the game, you shoot someone with a gun. You play the game, you shoot someone with a sword. And the side missions are cool. They're fine. It just didn't... I think like that by that point the series had kind of wore out on me a little bit. And I didn't resonate with it like I did with 1 or 0. Tales of the World. I love Tales of. That's why they're so low on the list. Tales of the World is Tales of series. That play Kiwami 2 right after 1. I don't think so. I think I played 1 and then 0. And then I played 2 a little bit after. We're not with Kiwami 1. Like a Dragon though, yeah, I haven't gotten to Like a Dragon yet. I'm working on it. But I still want to go through 3 through 6 against my better judgment. It is what it is. So Tales of the World is a PSP Tales of game. It was the first crossover one that came out in the West, where you play as your OC. You get to like learn stuff from the characters in the universe. All the characters are different from their actual game counterparts, which is a really weird trope that the Tales of crossover games execute. But it was a simple game, it was fun, and it was fan servicey. You don't see Stardew on this list? Keep looking, because it's not going to show up, and I don't know where it is. It's not in the top 100. I haven't played the game. But yeah, Tales of the World it's fun. It's a fun little game. It's very simple. You get to woo your favorite Tales of characters into your party and build the party that you always wanted. But for the sake of time, because if I keep going at this rate, I'm never going to finish. Not the first time I said that. It is. Yeah, it's a fun game. Look it up. It's a good little time. There's a second game and a third game. You don't get it? It's okay. You'll get it eventually. Anyway, that's Tales of the World. Monster Hunter World is surprisingly low for the amount of time I put into it, because I put in like 100 hours. But by that point, by the time I made this list initially, I hadn't played it recently. I was really burnt out when I did finish playing it. One thing to note, I didn't play the DLC for it. But I basically did everything there was to do in the base game. I think the reason it's so low is because the end game for Greatsword was like, you have to use the DMC crossover sword, and it's just so much better than everything else that there's no point to like experimenting. Obviously you can switch weapons, you can do whatever you want. And I should lead with this, but Monster Hunter is a game where it's intentionally asymmetric, where you fight monsters that are many times larger than you in a party of up to 4. Very boss fight heavy and resource grindy, I guess. Very interesting genre that has kind of taken off in the past few years, with games like Wild Hearts, Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise, all the DLCs that came with those. Very cool. Yeah, all that grind only have everyone use the same set endgame, and then some of the things that you want are so unrealistically grind heavy that like it's not worth it. People love putting thousands of hours of time into that game. I'm not one of them. I will revisit this at some point with the DLC, but yeah, no. I'm going from the bottom to the top. But yeah, no, I'm exhausted too. That's why I'm doing this, because it's easier for me just to ramble than it is for me to actually think about games. This shit's second nature to me. But yeah, Monster Hunter World, didn't really like the endgame, preferred Rise's endgame. I know I could switch between weapons and stuff like that. I didn't want to at the time, because it's my first entry in the series. It's a fine game. Poogie is god tier. It's a little pig that, when you finish a mission, if it likes you enough, it'll run up. And you get to pet the pig, which is tight, and you can dress up the pig, which is tight. Best part. And the food. Food looks really good. Yeah, it's a great game. I know I just said it was okay, but I like it. I'm gonna revisit it at some point. I don't know if I would recommend it as your first Monster Hunter game. I think Rise is probably more beginner friendly, and then World becomes more like the original games, where it's very stiff, but intentionally so. So yeah. 91 Hot Shots Tennis PSP specifically. I played the shit out of this game for a sports game. It's a very solid tennis game. It's very fun. There's a lot of focus on perfection, like winning matches without dropping a point, and that gets really hard at the end of the game. But I 100%ed it. It's a tennis game that's arcadey. There's not much to say about it. It has the Hot Shots flair. I haven't played the PS2 one, but I know it's available, so I will. But I really resonate with that game. It's just it's tennis. Like, it's not groundbreaking. That's why it's so low. 90 Civilization 5. I should move my mouse. Civ 5, I think I finished one game of it, but I played like a ton of it. 4X strategy game. I think Civ 5 is such a common name, that it is what it is. But yeah, it's Civ. It was good. I never played it with people. I never played it by myself. Oh, this is not what I'm talking about. But Civ 5. It's 90. 89th. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, specifically the PS4 remake. I liked it. It was Tony Hawk. It didn't have the same vibe. It didn't grip me the same way as the original 2 did. I think I played it for a weekend and then I dropped it, and then I got really mad because they made like the PS5 version that was better, but you had to pay $10 to upgrade, and it was like 2 months after the PS4 version came out. That pissed me off and left a bad taste in my mouth. But I did everything there was to do in it. It's just that there wasn't that much to do in it. But Tony Hawk's great. That's why it makes the list. I guess one thing to note is that, like, if something is like at the bottom end of the top 100, what have you missed? You missed 89 through 100. A game being at the bottom of this list doesn't mean that it's bad. I've played so many fucking games. Like, I could probably make like a top 600 if I wanted to. I don't want to, though. So, like, being at 100 doesn't mean it's bad. Being low on the list doesn't mean it's bad. If it's bad, it's not on the list. And some good games aren't even on the list. So, just to kind of level set that. Like, being at 89th isn't damning. It's like being at the top 20% of the class. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, also known as everyone's favorite content fucking farm. Hyrule Warriors is a spin-off of the Dynasty Warriors franchise using characters from Legend of Zelda. The Definitive Edition was a re-release on the Switch when the game was... Well, we started at 100. We're going backwards for fun. So, yeah. Legend of Zelda Musou. Very fun game. Very straightforward. You hit the buttons, things get hit. Numbers go up. It's fun. The downside of the game is the adventure mode, because it's all the DLC from the Wii U version. Gerard the Completionist did a great video about it, where he said it took him like 1,200 hours to 100% the Definitive Edition, and he was playing it like for hours every day. Like, it's unreal how much content there is, and it's unreal how fucking worthless it all is. Like, once you've gotten through like the first... I did one map 100%, and that shit took like 20 hours. The maps take longer than the story, and they force you to play as characters that you don't want to play as. So it's like, it's fun, but it's not like content I want to engage with. And you can like skip around and do some fun shit like that, but it's, I don't know, man. I wasn't really a fan of it past the first map. The first map being adventure mode, where it's like grid based. Each grid is an actual a mission. The actual story mode is great. The gameplay is great. Just that content was so bloated. But it's a good game. 87 Neo 1. Neo is a Souls-like from Koei Tecmo, I believe. It focuses... I don't know what games are going to get cut, though. I think it's going to be one of those things... Alright, fine, whatever. I'll fill them with yellow if I'm not vibing with them on the list. Yeah, that's fine for now. But it's a Souls-like that focuses more on combat than something like a Dark Souls does. Damn, Neb, thank you for the gifted sub. Congrats, Hobbs, for rolling Twinkle Park big. Both of you did, really. It's a joint effort. But, yeah, so it's more focused on combat and fluidity between styles and stuff like that than a Dark Souls game is, which is really nice. This was the first Souls-like game I really played. Like, I played Dark Souls when I was younger, and I didn't fuck with it. But Neo was like the first one that hooked me. Why are games getting cut from my list? Because I have things to replace them. I have games that I've played in since I made this list initially, because this list is old. So I have things to replace it. But yeah, Neo really resonated with me. It's very flashy. It's very fun. There's a really high skill cap. It's not the best one, but it's good. It's a very good game. So that's why it's here. But if you don't really get the Souls genre, I think it's somewhere to start. Because it's a nice blend of action and challenge, to where you can get strong enough to get through stuff, and it's more clear as to how to do that. So really, it's like an entry-level Dark Souls game. Yeah, Code Vein is Weeb Dark Souls. This is... You play as an English guy in Neo, so it's not fully Weeb. Dishonorable mention to Wo Long. That game was garbage for how good Neo 1 and 2 are. Didn't like it that much. It was okay. Neo 1 and 2 clean it for free. Bravely Default 2. Worth noting, this is Bravely Default 2, the Switch one, not Bravely 2nd, the 3DS one. Bravely Default 2 is an RPG, class-based, job-based, whatever you want to call it. Very straightforward game. You get the people, you get the skills, you get the jobs, you switch jobs, you level up, you make the best party you can. As you go through a pretty bog standard story. Those who have played the Bravely Default series will know what to expect is probably the biggest downside. It's low on my list because of that alone. It didn't try to do anything new or iterate on what Bravely Default 1 and 2nd did. It just did what Bravely Default 1 did at about the same level of execution. The things to note, though, are that the graphics are good. The Switch version runs like ass, but you can play it on PC now. I only played it on Switch. And Revo does which came up earlier in the stream, the soundtrack. The soundtrack is god tier. I love it. Elvis's special theme is still my ringtone all these years later. So it's definitely a great game. It's just, if you've played the other ones before it, you kind of pick up on stuff faster. And if you've never played a Bravely Default game, it'll probably be a much better experience. So I definitely recommend it, just not as like, you don't have to get to it right after you finish Bravely Second. I'm still waiting for Bravely Third. I'm still waiting for them to do Bravely Default 1 and Second as a double pack so they can make Bravely Third. Yeah, it wasn't my alarm clock at any point. I thought it was always my ringtone. No, it was. It might have been both. I don't know. I've used it for a lot. I like that song a lot. I remember when I bought my 3080 Ti in 2021, I was doing like a raffle at Micro Center because that's the only way you could get a GPU at the time. And I remember being so hyped that I was hearing Elvis's theme because my phone was getting called to let me know that I had won. Because shockingly, people weren't pulling up to Micro Center on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. to buy a fucking GPU in the middle of the GPU shortage when everything was marked up 50%. Oh well. Anyway, Bravely Default 2, great game, would recommend it. You don't need to rush to it. One day Bravely Third will come out and it will complete the 3DS trilogy and my life will be complete. That will never happen, so I'll live forever. Wow, would you look at that? Bravely Second's right above it. Bravely Second suffers from, it doesn't have Ring a Bell as a main character. Thank you for the Schmeatmobile. Ring a Bell is by far my favorite character in Bravely. It's not even close. He is not part of the main party, and that ruins it for me. But in actuality, it's Bravely Default 1, but it iterates a little bit, not enough to matter. And the characters aren't nearly as likable as the first game. So, and it starts getting a little bit kooky crazy. Never call my taste trash. Yeah, you would. Shut up. But Bravely Second is still a good game. Probably the biggest problem is that it's stuck on the 3DS, which is why I'm once again asking for the powers that be to port Bravely Default 1 and Second to Switch. It'll never happen. Excuse me. 84, Shining Force Exa. Top-down action RPG. You play as one of two characters. One's more ranged magic focused, one's more physical focused. You have a partner that you bring with you into battle. There's some tower defense aspects where whoever you take out, the other person will be left in, and the big bad evil guy will attack your castle and you have to defend it or you game over. This one is PS2. It's the sequel to Shining Force Neo, and there's some pretty unique mechanics for how you level up and how you spec and stuff like that, which is why I really liked it. The game has a very charming cel-shaded style. The post-game I didn't do because you have to just grind like hell, and I wasn't feeling it at the time. It also does give you the option of like going into arenas where the recommended level is 500 times what yours is, and then you die in one hit. But if you kill one enemy, if you hit that one roll, then you can get hella experience, and that's tight. I love that in every game. It's a fun game. There's nothing to write home about. I couldn't tell you shit about the story. But I remember the combat being fun. I remember the characters being likable. Simple game. Mid-2000s RPG for the PS2, you know what you're getting into. Devil Kings. Devil Kings is a fun one. So, it is another Musou game. It's Capcom's take on it, though, not Koei Tecmo's. Devil Kings is also known as Sengoku Basara. Devil Kings is on the PS2. So, Sengoku Basara came out in Japan, and they went to go port it. So what do you do with a game that relies on Japanese naming, Japanese history, characters drawn from that? You obviously name it something completely nonsensical like Devil Kings and translate all the names to bullshit. So Tadakasu Honda was Iron Bull, and fucking Shingen Takedo is like Red fucking Fart. I don't remember. They all had weird ass names. I didn't even know Devil Kings was Sengoku Basara until like 10 years after it came out. It was wild. But it's a great game. I legitimately enjoy it. At this point, you're better off playing Sengoku Basara 3 Heroes, which did get released in the West, as Sengoku Basara, because after that they kind of got with the times and realized that naming it Sengoku Basara is fine. Also Dead Series now, so don't get too hyped about there being another one. But it's a Musou game. You fight things. It's very much more arcadey and goofy than like a Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors pre-Samurai Warriors 4, which I think really like delineates it from that genre. It's kind of like the Saints Row to GTA. Like, it's so goofy and over the top that like you can't take it seriously, and it adds to the fun. The later games add in a lot of like fucking slot effects and stuff like that. But great games all around. I love Sengoku Basara. You can also get it for the PS3, but it's in Japanese, so your call. But great series. Would highly recommend playing it at some point, even if you do play Devil Kings. It just holds a warm spot in my heart. Mad Maestro. Interesting game. If you ever thought to yourself, man, I'd love a rhythm game where I play as a maestro and I conduct some random shit happening the whole time. Like, that's just the game. It's a rhythm game where you play as a guy with a magical conductor's baton. And funny stuff happens, and the music speeds up, it slows down, it changes. It was an original, maybe even a launch title for PS2. I had never heard about it until I found it for $1 in a local game store. Like, complete in box, $1. It's a very short game, but it's fun. Once you get the vibe of it, it plays really well. It's kind of like the predecessor to Guitar Man. So it's a really just simple, fun time. Would highly recommend trying it out if you have the capabilities to. If you don't, you played rhythm games. Before we keep going, I'm gonna go to the bathroom because I drank one of these, which is 50 ounces before the stream, and I'm like a third through the other one. So I'll be right back.
Bailiff, whack his pee-pee.
That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
I'm back. Oh, you're fine. They're a point for a reason. Turns out talking a lot hurts your throat. Your number 82 is Kirby Superstar? Damn. Kirby Superstar is tight. I think I actually have it on my list somewhere. I don't know. We'll find out. Moving on. Ninja Gaiden 2 / Sugma 2. Sugma Balls. So Ninja Gaiden 2 action game based on Ninja Gaiden. This is the 360 or PS3 version. I really liked Gaiden 2 when I played it originally. I liked it more than I liked Gaiden 1. It's just an over-the-top action game with a lot of cool moments. Excuse me. The reason it's / Sugma 2 is because there's a re-release for the PS3 called Ninja Gaiden Sigma, and Sigma 2 came out. Those are also what the Master Collection for PS4 is based off of and PC, which is why no one talked about them. They're easier and more censored. But I think like the idea is still there. Like it doesn't change the game that much. But Ninja Gaiden 2 is great, love it. if you like Devil May Cry, definitely worth looking into. Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2. I can't co-sign 3 because I haven't played it. But yeah, cool games. Ninja Blade. Now we're talking. Ninja Blade, this is probably one of the more controversial picks. It was a FromSoft game. And I think its biggest moment in the spotlight was when critical shit all over it. For basically being QuickTime hell. It's been years since I watched him play it. But I also played it myself. It was a 360 exclusive game. It used to be on Steam, but then got pulled. So it might be on Abandonware. But it's a very simple game. Like, it's like Ninja Gaiden for babies. And the main thing is that there's huge QuickTime event set pieces. Which, at the time, this is like the peak of like QuickTime events. So it made sense why the game is what it is. I think it balanced the two well. But I'm a serial QTE apologist. I think that QTEs at the time were an answer for not having the ability to actualize what people wanted to actualize. So the next best thing was something interactable that people can watch. Because if you only watch, then it's, oh, this game's just a fucking movie, which you get now. Like Forest Walking, God, I don't like this game, so I have to sit here and watch them fucking walk instead of just watching a cutscene. Let me just watch the cutscene. But at least with QTEs, there's something going on. And if you fail it, there's something funny that'll happen, most likely. Ninja Blade was a great example of that. I think the game's great. I think that it got a rough go of it because it was so QTE laden. But I don't care about that because I'm an actual gamer and not a loser. So, number 80. 79. You've seen it. Destruction Derby Arena. Very fun game. Very over-the-top racing. If you want to know about it, check out the YouTube. I don't think I uploaded it. I have it somewhere, though. I need to upload it. But I have a full playthrough. Very fun game. Very just goofy racing, whack physics. You don't even have to win half the time. You can just kill everyone else. Love that. Destruction Derby Arena for the PS2. 78. Also play this actually on YouTube. Shinobi. It's a third-person action game like Ninja Gaiden, like Ninja Blade, etc. It's much more focused on execution than those two. Very short game though. I think it only took me like 5 hours. Very, very difficult final boss too. Yeah, I streamed Shinobi back in 2018? No, it had to have been 2020. Because I'd already moved by that point. But yeah, Shinobi is tight. Very, very good soundtrack. The game was like it just like this drip style. The execution was ass. The game was very hard to actually like play effectively. There are a lot of times when I would die because I just fell down a hole because the momentum was weird. The guy didn't come into backseat. He came in to be like, "Oh, you're doing a great job. You got it, dude," which is actually really appreciated. Then he didn't follow or ever watch again. So never, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, you know. Basically came in and was like, "Are you winning, son? You're doing a great job with your video game." And I'm like, "Thanks, person. That's not my dad. It's not every person who talks to me is my dad." But Shinobi's great. I would highly recommend checking it out. Very good. 77. Yakuza Kiwami 1. Kiwami 1 suffered from the fact that it was Kiwami 1. And it was just a small game. Like, it was a smaller scale game. But it was still really fun. It was my first entry into the series. So I think I did 1 into 0, not 0 into 1. But very good game. If you've ever been curious about the Yakuza games, Kiwami 1 is a great place to start. 0 is also a great place to start. Probably 0 is preferable. It's not completely life-changing. You'll learn how to play shogi. You'll learn how to play mahjong poorly. You'll learn how to play in the batting cages. It's a great time. It's a very goofy game. As a side note, I would highly recommend everyone goes and watches the highlights of the PS2 Yakuza's dub, because it was the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life, and it's funny because of it. Because it was made in a time when being edgy was kind of the vibe. Yo, what's up, Pokio? My favorite line by far is 10 years in the joint made you a fucking pussy, delivered in the dumbest way I've ever heard. I still quote it. But yeah, Yakuza Kiwami, I talked enough about Kiwami 2. It's the same thing but better. You get 4 styles, you get to beat up people in more flashy ways. I love it. 76. This is probably low, but Devil May Cry 3. I am once again a serial Devil May Cry 4 apologist. And I think that 3 was good. I think that also, don't watch the highlights of the dub if you haven't played Kiwami 1. It does have spoilers. But Devil May Cry 3, the biggest problem I had with it was just how disjointed it was, and you could get lost really easily, and I played as a dumb kid. So the problem was that I would constantly get lost and get my ass beat and lose an hour of progress. Playing through it as an adult was much more tolerable, but going to it from 4 and 5 made it feel a bit more dated, but that's not the game's fault. Still a very, very good action game. Lots of cool shit you can do, very stylish, very over the top. Responsive. Play the first game, or play the first mission over and over and over again. Very good. 75. I need to move my mouse edition. Risk of Rain. Risk of Rain, the first one, is a 2D roguelite where you pick a character, you have a set of skills, you get items, the skills get better. And your whole goal is to get to a teleporter, which you activate, and you fight a boss, and you survive, and you move on until you beat the boss, or you beat the game. Yeah, Risk of Rain 1 was the only game I think that could get away with being 2D like that. Because it just... how... The soundtrack is amazing. It's in my rotation. The game plays well. It's very tough. It's very tough. Until you get the artifact that lets you choose whatever you get from a drop. Then the game's trivial. But studied for so many exams that soundtrack. Me too. That was about at that time for me as well. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to like find and unlock. And the best part about it is that generally when you make a game like Risk of Rain 2, the first one becomes obsolete and you don't want to go back to it. But Risk of Rain 1 and Risk of Rain 2 are so similar but play so wildly differently that it's totally viable to go back and forth. Very cool series. I love Risk of Rain. And here I am with Devil May Cry 4. It's Devil May Cry 3, but better. I really like Nero's playstyle. So let me start by saying the main difference between 3 and 4: 3 plays Dante for the whole game, and 3 Special Edition you have the option to play as Virgil. Dante gets its different weapons, very cool. It is what it is. It's Devil May Cry 3. Devil May Cry 4, you play as a new guy, Nero, who has a magical grabby hand that lets you pull, throw, shove, all that stuff, and has mostly one... This is not my vibe. Thank you. It gives you a lot of options, and that's half the game. The other half is playing as Dante. But with Dante, you don't have to do the stupid, I go to the save spot and switch out my style, so I'm going to Gunslinger for the next forever, and then Gunslinger sucks, so I die. Or, in reality, for Devil May Cry 3, I go to Royal Guard, and I one-shot everything because I'd rather just learn the game. I think the quality of life for Dante in Devil May Cry 4 was huge. Sure, the game is repetitious because you're playing the same missions twice, but the missions were good enough I didn't care. I resonated far more with Devil May Cry 4 than Devil May Cry 3. 73, Phantom Brave. I think this is the first NIS America, NIS America. I just call them NIS America because I'm lazy. I hate acronyms that spell it out. It's the first one on the list. I've never actually beaten this game, which is funny that it's on my list. But I've bought it like 5 times. It's a... If you played Disgaea, it's like Disgaea, in that you build your characters, you get items, you go into item worlds, you get stronger things, you progressively build up your party, but it's really weird. There's a lot of weird shit in Phantom Brave, and it's also depressing as hell, but I like that. A lot of games in Nis's wheelhouse are upbeat, goofy, comedy driven, but Phantom Brave is like not funny. It's very sad. At least for what I remember playing. Oh yeah, that's the weird part. You summon your characters from items on the battlefield. So like, if you summon someone from a rock, they'll have higher defense for that round. If you summon someone from a weapon, they'll have higher attack and a magic for stuff like that. And they only exist for a few turns. So it's not like Disgaea where you can just power blast through everything. You summon someone from group, probably. You can't just steamroll the game with one character because they only are alive for 5 turns. So you have to like constantly balance your party and grow them all separately, and like growing them is difficult. You don't have enough money and you have to go get money, and then you have to randomize the dungeons that you go into and get blasted and stuff like that. It's a very challenging game, and it's not as straightforward as something like Disgaea, but I like that. One day I'll go back and get through it. The people you raise die for the map. If they die like HP to 0, you can revive them in town. So if you're in like a multi-stage dungeon, you can't just bring them out again. But if they go for 5 turns and their life is 5 turns, they just disappear from that map, and you can summon them again next time. But so it can really put you in bad scenarios if you don't time everything right. But yeah, definitely worth looking into. It's on Steam. It usually goes on sale for like $2. $72 is Ziggurat. Ziggurat is a PC roguelite where you play as a magician going through the Ziggurat, which is a challenge for magicians. There's some story, I don't know. It's a first-person shooter, but everything is magic-based, so like you have a wand, and you get spell books, and you get magical items and stuff like that. I loved this game when it came out. The biggest drawbacks are probably the fact that like when you move right, your whole head moves, so like the camera moves, and it can be really jarring. The game is super challenging. I only ever beat it like once or twice, because you need like really good runs and to execute well on those runs. So if you're looking for a first-person shooter roguelite, that's kind of the game. There is a sequel. I haven't gotten enough into it because I played during early access, but it's very similar. Room-based, arena-style, shoot things and get drops, get experience, level up perks, lose your run because you died in one hit. But Ziggurat's tight. It's very much a sleeper game. Ziggurat 2 is very good as well, from what I've played. 71, Tetris Attack, everyone's favorite not branded Nintendo game. Tetris Attack is a penalty pawn game, which if you've never heard that term, essentially you don't drop pieces, you swap pieces, and they come up from the bottom. And you use that to build huge combos. You send garbage to your opponent. Panel de Pone. But that subgenre of puzzle games is really what like resonated with me. I used to play this game all the time in high school. We would use it to settle arguments. We would just play it to have fun. Like I've lost so many afternoons playing Tetris Attack. The game's charming because it's all Yoshi characters. Never actually beat the single player mode because Bowser is too hard. But I'm sure if I go back now, I'll fucking wash it like a goddamn laser wash. My favorite Persona song is Everyone that Shoji Meguro worked on. Bless that man. But Tetris Attack, definitely worth it. I think it's on Switch Online. If not, then at least the original Panel de Pon is, and it's very similar. The original Panel de Pon just as good. Just not Nintendo branded. Cool game, very cool subgenre of puzzle games to play with your friends. Can be asked to play alone. Because the AI is really good. 70, SSX3, my favorite game that introduced me to branded content inside of games. With such special moves like the DNL flip and the DNL board when DNL was a thing. DNL being 7-up, flipped upside down, reversed. Because they wanted to make it epic in gaming. But SSX3 is a snowboard game. Tricky is the second one. But it's a very over-the-top arcadey, you're getting a trend here of over-the-top and arcadey snowboarding game. And it was kind of the iteration on 2 where instead of going level to level, there's a whole mountain you go down, you find things to run into, you level up your character, you get higher jumps, you get better, faster tricks, better flips. It runs great on Xbox One, good. I think it runs fine on the 360 too. But I do have an Xbox copy of that and means to play it. Oh yeah. Kind of like how in Tricky, like when you get into Tricky mode, like the music kind of fades out because you're going so fast. I haven't played it in a really long time. I should go back to it. It's a fun game. It's just fun. 3 is good. I still prefer Tricky though. And that will probably show up later, I think. I hope. Arcade snowboarding game from the mid-2000s. What more is there to say? Oh, I do have Dark Souls on here. Nice. S69. Nice. So this has to have been within the last year and a half. Dark Souls, I didn't like when I played on the 360. The reason I didn't like it is because I went into the sewers, I got cursed by a basilisk, I wasn't good at the game, and I was dying in one hit to everything all the time. And the only way to recover from curse in Dark Souls 1 is to get an item that costs 5,000 souls, and you get like 200 per kill. I wasn't about to farm that, die again, and get cursed again, so I dropped it there. Revisiting it as an adult, I love it so much more. The game makes sense to me now. A lot of, like, I understand the hype. I get it. Danny DeVito, I get it. I understand GIF. Very good game. Not the best one. I still prefer the offshoots like Neo, but I have to give credit where credit's due. Dark Souls 1's environments are great. It's super jank still, but that's kind of the appeal. I still want to go revisit it and play like different builds and stuff like that, just because everything was so engrossing. I did play the remastered version. It's on my YouTube. Feel free to watch in the comments below. And by that I mean click like there, and then you can watch it. Very good game. 68 is what really tied me. It means DS2 is gonna be up there. I played DS2 after that, after this was made, and it's not going on the list. There's no way. Dark Souls 2 can suck my balls. Demon Souls, I didn't stream, but I played it when the PS5 came out, and I loved that game. It was everything I wanted in a Dark Souls game. Like the small segmented world where you learn it and you can run through it and you know where things are. There's no like confusion on where to go. I found out that one weird stat gimmick like 2/3 of the way through 2. Yeah, where you have to level aptitude to drink faster and you get iframes based on it. When I was getting crushed on my 3 iframes, I was like, why can't I dodge everything? I'm not that bad at these games. I wasn't. There's only 3 frames to dodge. And then I just doubled down and died 700 times. That does not impact my rating, by the way. It does a little bit. Pony Pound Town impacts my rating of that game. And the DLC of being bad. And the enemy distribution being garbage. Yeah, I played Dark Souls 2 on stream. That's where
I caught you off guard on that one.
that stuff came from. But yeah, Demon Souls was such a nice remake. Playing it as a baby boo-boo ass caster, being able to one-shot people with a firestorm. That was the first Souls game that I really understood. It's too stressful. So that's why it's above Dark Souls 1. Now that I've played more of them, I understand kind of some of the drawbacks with Demon Souls. I don't think they're that big a deal. I think Demon Souls Remake is super tight. Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. Now we're going through a fucking complete pivot. Zero Gravity is the sequel to Sonic Riders, which is a skateboarding or snowboarding-esque futuristic. It's like Airblade. If anyone's played Airblade for the PS2, that kind of like zero gravity or anti-gravity like skateboard type shit. There's so much to say about the game. There's super high skill caps, super high octane tricking, stuff like that. It plays kind of like a kart racer, but doesn't, and there's different archetypes that change how you approach courses. Very, very good pair of games between Sonic Riders and Zero Gravity. So much so that they're even still supported today by fans. There are tournaments that run for it still. There are people adding characters. I think Big the Cat was on one of the surveys they had for who to add next, and they didn't win. And I got really mad, so I'm not going to play it. But Sonic Riders Zero Gravity is such a unique game that has such a passionate fan base behind it, and people didn't really care about when it came out in a weird way. But I think it's super tight. I love it. Would highly recommend checking it out if you've never played it. Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 2 is not as good as Bayonetta 1, but I still like Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 2, similar to Bayonetta, similar to Devil May Cry, similar to everything that's been on this list already. Character action game. You get different weapons. You have 2 on your hand, 2 on your feet. And it changes how you do combos. It changes all of your actions. Full ability to express your combos and your skill. Very solid dark fantasy aesthetic. The whole game kind of takes place in, I think this one takes place in Italy. Huge set piece bosses. The biggest downside of Bayonetta 2 is I had to wait till the Switch came out to play it, because it came out on the Wii U initially, because Nintendo bankrolled it, and that sucked. But Bayonetta 2 is still very good. A lot of fun. If you like Devil May Cry, you'll like Bayonetta. If you like Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, you'll like Bayonetta. Very solid series. Slay the Spire at 65. I think everyone's heard of Slay the Spire at this point. Card-based roguelike. I think Slay the Spire was the first. Bayonetta 2 is a Switch and Wii U. The Wii U does have a solid emulator, though. I'll say that much. But yeah, those games, 2 and 3 are never leaving Nintendo consoles, and I'll die on that hill because Nintendo bankrolled it. So Slay the Spire, card-based roguelike. You have 4 classes at this point. Hundreds of ways to play the game. Super huge deck variety. Very challenging. Lots of content. Very solid game. It's like this game alone kicked off so many games, and it's still so good. Because usually you have the scenario where like Vampire Survivors, the survivor-like genre, the bullet heaven genre, whatever you want to call it. I don't think anyone can play games in those in that space and go, yeah, Vampire Survivors is better than this. That genre got iterated on so fast. Slay the Spire, you have Monster Train, you have fuck, I don't even know. There's so many. Like there are like hundreds of ripoffs of Slay the Spire. Some of them ripoffs is disingenuous, but you get what I'm saying. But Slay the Spire, you can still look at. Ring of Pain is a great game that spun off of it. Gris, I haven't played Gris. But like if you go on Steam, you can find like 50 immediately. But Slay the Spire still holds its place as like, you can play this, it's solid. There's no game that does it so much better that takes away from Slay the Spire. There's fan mods that add hella content to it. It's a great game. It really earned its place in like recent gaming history by being just so consistently solid and fun. Perfect game. Griftlands, yes. 64 Hades. I would probably move Hades down. The more I get, so Hades being a roguelite action game that you go in, you do the trials, you get stuff, you unlock stuff, repeat, rinse, repeat. Roguelikes are roguelikes. I'm also interchangeably using roguelike and roguelite. I don't care that they're different. If the specification is stupid and if you get in a tizzy over it, deal with it. Go touch grass. So Hades is another game where it was so popular that it spun off like this huge rush of like games that play like Hades. Like, oh, I need to have my roguelite that's top down and does this and that. Because it prints money, like my story-driven game. My problem with Hades is that it was an Epic Games exclusive for a year. It came out on Steam, still unfinished. And then over the next 6 to 12 months, it finally got the content that it needed to be a complete experience. And you know what they did for people that played it early? Went, yeah, we don't have a way to like just give you the story. So play through the game 11 times. Win 11 runs. And you'll be able to see the ending. And that shit was dumb. Because the game's not that hard. You can make it really hard, but there's no benefit to skipping the difficulty levels because then you miss stuff. So when it's like held to the same level of scrutiny as some other roguelikes, it falters in my opinion. The game isn't that fun to replay over and over and over again. There's a game called Leap of Fate that I think does the same thing but better. And no one gives a shit about Leap of Fate. It's just what it is. But Hades is a great game. I'm not gonna like knock it. Yeah, I'm not a Hades enjoyer to the same extent that other people are. I think, you know, I'm just gonna fucking this is disingenuous. But Hades does get cleaned by same game, like games in the same genre. Slay the Spire does not. So that's like completely bullshit by me to put them in that order. But anyway, Hades, great. People love it. It's a great entry point into roguelikes in general. Very simple, very straightforward game. I think it just doesn't hold up as well as people pretend it does. 63, Ys Origin. Here's a good one, because it's not a fucking roguelike. For the third game in a row. Ys Origin is in the series Ys. One of the first, like, it wasn't one of the first ones this time. It was, how do I even describe this game? Because I played it completely out of order. Ys games are generally more focused on boss battles that are very challenging, and your whole goal is to dodge complex patterns to get in and hit them. Famously, the first boss, or the final boss in the first Ys game, drops out spots, and the whole game was driven off a bump battle system, so you had to run into the enemy. So the game could just become unwinnable. And now they're famous for being action RPGs, but like Ys 1, 2, 3, 4 through 6 even are all like, if you play them on the hardest difficulty, you're in for a bad time. Ys Origin's the same way, but it's more of like an action RPG style, where you go through this dungeon and you level up, you get more powerful, blah blah blah, Bob's your uncle. You've played an RPG before. But there are 3 characters, and all of them play significantly differently. And that change, like, you might fight the same boss as character A and character B, but they feel completely different because, like, now you can't just hide behind your projectiles, you have to get in. Now you can't just get in, you have to hide behind your projectiles. And it makes repeat play is much more challenging and entertaining. Great game. Killer soundtrack. Story's simple. It's an Ys game. You're not gonna fucking get the old man in the sea out of it. But it's definitely a game that flies under the radar because it's not Ys 7, 8, 9, 10. It's Ys Origin. And it's not Adol. It's Hugo and the other chick whose name is escaping me right now. But terrific game. Would highly recommend. It's pretty short. And it's as hard as you want it to be. So, great game. Tales of Berseria. The difference between Zestiria and Berseria is that Berseria has the benefit of iterating on Zestiria. Similar battle system, no armatization. So you play as the character, and you get to learn the character like you do in Tales of games, and you don't have to worry about combining your powers and then spamming fucking whatever overpowered spell with whatever overpowered combination with whatever bullshit ass equipment system. Berseria is just a solid Tales of game. It's also one of the few that, like, RPGs that you don't really feel like a hero. Like, Velvet is intentionally written as like an anti-hero type character, and the villains are sympathetic and have reasonable motives to an extent. Someone's gonna hear that and fucking tear me out, but I don't give a shit. The characters are a lot of fun. They all have their own strife, their own challenges that they have to overcome. It's really just a rote increase on Zestiria, and it's a great game. You also get the ability to customize your combo string, which is a good thing and a bad thing because you can just make the most broken shit all the time. But would definitely recommend if you've never played one. Don't start here, but consider it high up on the list if you really do like the first one you play. Berseria is terrific game. Halo Reach is kind of a shocking one to be this low. But I played the shit out of Halo Reach. I think Halo Reach was the first Halo game where I was like, you know what, I get it. I understand why these games are so good. Having the ability to like troll people with power armor, the weapons felt nice, the gameplay felt smooth, the big team battles were fun and impactful. There's just so much to do in the game for multiplayer, and the single player is completely killer too. I still think it's probably the best Halo game, which I know is contentious, but I don't care. I think it's better than 1, 2, 3, Infinite. Did I play it in high school? Yes, but I also played it after I graduated from college, because it got re-released in the Master Chief Collection, and it was still great there. Can't say enough good things about Halo Reach, but it's mostly nostalgia driven, I'll admit. But it still holds up today. Would highly recommend playing the Master Chief Collection. It's a first person shooter. You know Halo. If you don't know Halo, now you do. Congrats. Go look it up. Remember people were freaking out and being super swayed because you could run with the Spartans? Yeah. The Spartans aren't supposed to have a sprint. Yeah. You know what my favorite gameplay mechanic is? Being able to very easily guess the parabola of someone's jump, so I don't have to react. It's like, I'm gonna jump. Ooh. And there's no way to change that. It's always, ooh. Or maybe, ooh. But there's always there. And whether that comes here or not is the difference between 3 and Reach. Because in Reach you can go, ooh. Or you can go, ooh. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's cooking, for sure. Yeah, people freaked out about Reach, but I thought it was super tight. It's honestly kind of the predecessor to, like, hero-based shooters in a sense. But I think it deserves a lot more credit than it got, and the single player is still, to this day, a fucking masterpiece, so... Anyway. This is my weeb tendency showing. 60 is Operation Abyss, New Tokyo Legacy. So dungeon RPGs are a genre that I got really into in like the mid to like the 2017 to 20 now. Operation Abyss was one of those games. So a dungeon RPG is essentially a grid-based game where you go into a dungeon, you go first person, kind of like Persona. Persona 1 did it. Wizardry. I'm trying to think about other games that do it. Fuck, I'm blanking on what it was. Legend of Grimrock. That style of game, where your characters are in a party, you walk around, you run into traps, you map out the joint. Operation Abyss is just a very weeb version of that. But it's very accessible and very fun. Like, you level up, you change your class around, you get new people in your party, you try out different approaches, it just does everything as such a, like, every basic thing so well that I loved it. And the dungeons are cool, there's very little bullshit, so you just play the game. Very, very kind of slept on game. It has a sequel, Operation Babel. Haven't played that yet, hope to get to that at some point, but it really was just there at the right time when I needed it, and I loved it for it. Anyway, 59, Makai Kingdom, another NIS America game, another NIS game. Makai Kingdom was similar to Phantom Brave in that you have your party, you summon them, you go fight. Makai Kingdom was more similar to Phantom Brave though, because everything took place in a 3D plane. So instead of being on a grid, you would walk. You had X amount that you're allowed to move per turn, and then you'd have to aim your skills. So, like, if I'm here and you're here, I can't hit you. But if I use an attack that has a cone that does, I can reach up and hit you still. So there's a lot of like cool moments like that when you're playing it, where you just have the tool to deal with the problem, and you don't have to like waste a turn or whatever. It doesn't have the stupid you fade out after X many turns problem that Phantom Brave does, which is why it's higher. I also love Zeta. I think Zeta's a fucking great protagonist, villain, whatever you want to call him. Super hot, very good as a book. The game is just, it's funny, it's charming, holds up today. Just recently got re-released on the Switch and PC with content that wasn't originally in the game for the PS2. I played on the PS2 though. Also, if you like big numbers, you like Makai Kingdom. Love that. Like, I love that style of game so much. EDF 5, 58. EDF 5 is probably lower for me because when I played it alone, and it is a game that is difficult to play alone because of how it's structured. Like, if you play EDF 5 with people, top tier game. I love EDF through and through. It's just not as good as a single player game. But if you like shooting bugs, if you like shooting aliens, if you like shooting frogs that are anthropomorphic, if you like dying, EDF 5 is the game for you. If you want to play EDF but you're terrified of bugs, what bugs are you terrified of? If you're scared of ants, probably not the move. If you're scared of spiders, they're not as common. And ultimately, late game in every EDF game, it stops being about bugs and starts being about aliens. So you're fighting giant walkers. Honestly, like, I genuinely think that would be a good way to tackle your phobia, because it does give you some level of power over it. Because, like, I think the idea of, like, being scared of bugs comes from the fact that you don't know where they are. But it's like, imagine a world where you could see them, and you can just fucking blast them into oblivion. EDF also has this very cool that fucking threw me off. It has a cool feature where everything ragdolls when it dies, so you can just you can rocket an ant into oblivion, and it's my favorite. It's such a satisfying game to play. You also get new weapons. You get different classes in EDF 5. There's 4 classes. You can troll people in multiplayer. Honestly, EDF is like easily probably my favorite game to play multiplayer. It's just so fun every time. It's such a chill game. It can be as difficult as you want it. The biggest downside is that there's a grind to level up your health, because your health is based on drops. But collecting drops activates my neurons, which is great. EDF, great series. I would highly recommend it, even if you are scared of bugs. Pirate fucking, don't pirate. Buy a legal copy of whatever fucking EDF 4. Hell, get EDF 4.1 Wing Diver the Shooter on sale. It's a top-down version. I don't know that they have mods, but maybe. It's worth looking into. But yeah, very long-running series too. Very much so looking forward to EDF 6 when it comes out. That's a day one for me on multiple consoles, for sure. 57, God Hand. Another game I've never actually beaten, but oozes so much style that you can't hate it. I've never beaten God Hand because I'm shit. But it is a third-person action game that is very much driven on your ability to dodge attacks and choose good combo strings that allow you to effectively beat the shit out of your opponent. It's a very deep combat system that you aren't going to find anywhere else, even nowadays. The biggest shame of it is that it's stuck on PS2 and PS3 digital. But if you can get your hands on God Hand, highly recommended. I'm also going to start going a little bit faster through these because I realize I'm an hour and a half in. I don't want to go for 3 hours doing this. 56, Ratchet and Clank. We've been there. We've done that. We shot everything. I got 100% on stream. Videos in the YouTube. We're going to talk more about Ratchet and Clank later. One Piece Pirate Warriors 3. It's One Piece as a Musou game like Dynasty Warriors, and it's fun. It does a really good job of like making you feel like One Piece himself. But unironically, like, it's a Musou game. You have your attack strings, you power up. The game is very straightforward in that you just level up. There's no equipment or anything like that. It's just a really fun time, and if you're a fan of One Piece, you'll love it. The roster is very solid. I didn't 100% this game until recently, like this year. But if you can buy it cheap on Steam and you like One Piece, I would highly recommend it. Playing as Inaru was probably the joy of like multiple months of my life. And all the characters just play so well, and like you pick it up and you're just ready to rock. Super fan servicey stuff like that. So if that's what you're looking for and you want One Piece, don't look any further than One Piece Pirate Warriors 3. I haven't played 4. Maybe I'll play it once I finish the second season pass if they add an Eru, but they won't because they're fucking cowards. Anyway. 54. Now this is a hot take. Star Ocean 4. Star Ocean 4 is so fucking tight. Star Ocean 4, people don't like because it has really weird characters. I don't think they're weird. The dub is really bad. But the combat, man, the combat is so solid in Star Ocean 4. The game's looked great when I played it. I'm sure the 4K remaster that's on Steam looks great too. It's just a really fun game. It's super easy to sink your teeth into it. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of post-game replayability. There's even one major character choice you can make on new playthroughs that is super funny to me. It's a very quirky game, but if you can get past the quirks, I think there's a lot to love about it that people don't because it's not Star Ocean 2. And that's fine. That's their loss. Playing as Aramat and fucking summoning giant dragons from the ground and one-shotting shit with big numbers will never stop being fun. So eat shit. 53. Risk of Rain 2. You might be thinking, why is Risk of Rain 2 so much higher than Risk of Rain 1? Risk of Rain 1's biggest benefit and its biggest detractor are that it's 2D. 2D in Risk of Rain 1, when there's so much shit on the screen, becomes impossible to navigate, and you will just die randomly. Risk of Rain 2 solves that by being 3D. And there's so much more chaos that can go on. There's so many more classes to choose from, builds, loadouts, options. I'm down to play some Risk of Rain 2, for sure. Risk of Rain 2 is just super tight. You can loop endlessly and just become the most busted piece of shit. You can... The final level, you have to activate a bunch of like pillars and like survive a bunch of long form encounters. Or if you're strong and you have enough jump, you can just fucking skip the whole level and jump straight to the final boss. I love games that let you do that. And then yeah, you get one shot by some floating monster. Skill issue. Yeah, start dropping frames on a 2070, 3080, like... It's a CPU-bound game though, so I can't blame it. But I don't know about you guys, but when you're playing a game and you shoot something and it sets off a chain reaction, like the game like freezes, and then you just hear everything like crackle into reality at once. Perfect. Top tier game. I love Risk of Rain 2. Terrific game. Also super challenging DLC. Very terrifying because you just actually get one shot permanently. And even if you're like super OP, you're still fucking clenching. But I had a ton of fun with it. I'm sure I'll have a... There's plenty of mods too. Just a terrific game overall. 52. Lost Dimension. You can find Lost Dimension on Steam or PS3. Or PS Vita? PS Vita. Lost Dimension is Amogus but weeb. It's a 3D tactical RPG with a layer of whodunit. The whole gist of the game is that you start out with a party of 12 or something, I don't know the exact number, and in that group there are many betrayers, or like traitors. Yeah, traitors is the word I'm looking for. Traitor Joe. So Lost Dimension, you play it out, and as you go up, you figure out who the traitor is. It's randomized. Yeah, Lost Dimension ripped off Amogus 10 years in advance. And the best part about the game is that it forces you to adapt to what's happening. So you might have one character that's super strong, and then you find out that they're the traitor. You're not going to know until it's too late. So then you have to pivot for the rest of the floor. Like, you find out and it's like, fuck, now I gotta... Who's next in the line? No, bad vibes. Good vibes. You really have to react, and on repeat playthroughs, since it changes, you get to figure out what really is happening. And the game has such a good story and such good characterization and stuff like that. It's a wonderful game that you can get for like $5 on Steam on sale. And it's so worth it. I recommend this game all the time. It should probably be higher. Personally, I spent $100 on a physical copy because I have no impulse control and I want everything to do with this game. So put my money where my mouth was, and still is. What the fuck am I on? Let's pretend that never fucking happened. Sonic All-Stars Racing Transform. The best kart racer you can get on Steam. That's all there is to say about it. Huge roster. Great maps. Super fun game. Many different ways of racing. So throughout a race you'll go from car to boat to plane. All of them controlled differently. You know, I have the perfect replacement game for that. ASRT is genuinely probably the best kart racer I've ever played. I love that game to death. It's so worth it. You can get like $3 on Steam now. Terrific game. Can't recommend it enough. 50 Metal Saga. This was previously Final Fantasy IX. The more I think about Final Fantasy IX, the more I dislike Final Fantasy IX. To explain why, the characters in Final Fantasy IX are not that good. With the exception of Vivi and Kina, if those two characters were not in the game, I would fucking hate it. The combat is one note, boring, not engaging. The fact that you have to learn all of your stuff through equipment is fine, but it's so slow and tedious that you just don't feel like you're powering up. And it's like, I have to go and here you go. Here's the fucking staff that teaches you Asuna. Oh, I need that for haste. So annoying. But yeah, I got to the end of Final Fantasy IX. I'm like, I can't put it above 10. I can't put it above 7. I can't put it above 6. I can't put it above 4. I can't put it above 13. I can't put it above most of them. And for a Final Fantasy game, that's like bad. That's really bad. There's some fucking stinkers in that series. Like, for what it is, I'm sure it's great. If you like high fantasy, you'll like Final Fantasy IX. Whatever. It's better than 13 too, but not battle system wise, just story wise. It didn't click with me. I did everything there was to do in it. Vivi and Kina carry the game. but they're not the main focus. And there's so many weird, awkward shots of Garnet's weirdly highly defined ass that it made me uncomfortable through the whole game. Zidane felt like a personal attack. What? Piece of shit until there's a woman hot enough for him to actually want to not just pump and dump. So he completely changes who he is as a person to get with her. That was my favorite character moment. But actual Metal Saga. Oh, Amarant. That's the other thing I hate about Final Fantasy IX. Amarant is so tight. And every time I read about Final Fantasy IX, it's, I don't know why he's even in the party. I don't get it. Why is he even in there? Why just don't have an 8th character at that point? He's kind of fucking garbage. Amarant has the most concise story that completely fucking defines why he's in the party and why he does what he does. It's the best writing in the game because he gets his ass beat and he goes, I want to join you because one day I'll beat your ass. And that's it. And then he does everything that it takes to beat Zidane's ass himself, including defending him. That's my favorite trope. I love Amarant. Thank you for reminding me about him. But everyone hates him, and I don't get it. His design's tight, his playstyle's tight, his character is tight, like, and then they're like, I like Steiner. Like, Steiner, I'm a knight. I have morals, and I need to protect the princess at all costs. And then he gets his fucking wiener looked at once. He's like, I have completely changed, and I've done a 180 on everything I believe in and have espoused through the whole game. Whoop-de-doo, dude. But yeah, Final Fantasy IX, mid. It should be on the list, but it's not going to be high at all. Maybe it might not even be on the list, honestly. But Metal Saga does deserve to be on the list because it does so much characterization through just the world. Like, it's an apocalyptic game, whoop-de-doo, but like, you get to own your tank, you get to paint it however you want, you get to customize your tank however you want, you get to increase your power, you get to just vibe out and drive around and see random shit happen that doesn't even, like, it's random, it's like, it's a sudden game, it's absurd, you blow up the world, like, I don't know. Metal Saga, I'm gonna upload it to YouTube, watch it there. Great game. Great game. Yeah, you get a fire truck to save the world. That's the best way to describe Metal Saga. I love Metal Saga. Final Fantasy VII original. It's Final Fantasy VII. If you haven't played it, look it up. Materia system is great. Characters are good. Lots of stuff to do. Golden Saucer's tight. That's all there is to say about it. Like, it's a great traditional JRPG. It's not top 1 for me because it didn't age perfectly. It would probably move up now that I played 7 Remake because it made me appreciate the original a lot more. But still a very, very, very good game. Disgaea 5. Disgaea 5 is probably my lowest rated Disgaea, which is saying a lot and not saying a lot at the same time. Disgaea 5 kind of jumped the shark on what you need to be powerful. And Disgaea, if you don't know, is a tactical, grid-based RPG where your major focus is number go up. So you level up, you reincarnate, you get new skills, you build like the ultimate unit, and many times, and that's how you beat the post-game. It's also a very post-game driven game. But it goes a little bit too overboard on number go up. Like, the amount of ways you have to do it is kind of annoying, and it just feels like you max out your stat bonuses from reincarnation. You have to reincarnate into every subclass and max it out. You have to do this, you have to do that, which is fine. That's expected. Disgaea 5 has the problem of there's one class that is so much better than all the other ones that is not worth doing anything else. So it makes the grind fucking miserable. There's no skill to it. You just literally spawn, spam fucking Earth Destroyer, or whatever the spell is called. It hits the whole map with a 50% max rate, and you can throw stuff out that allows you to not take damage from it, double cast it, and power it up so that it does hella damage. So your whole item world is just spawn, spellcast, spawn, spellcast, and you just repeat that hundreds and hundreds of times. It doesn't even take long. It's just not fun. But I like this guy at 5. I still like it. But that's more of just like a personal bias showing than like I would recommend it over Final Fantasy 7, you know? Final Fantasy 13. Serially underrated game, Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13's biggest problem is that the first 24 hours of it are a tutorial. If they gave you full access to the combat system earlier on, everyone would love Final Fantasy 13. I will die on that hill. I remember the big meme when it came out was, it's so linear, man. But I want anyone to look me in the eyes that's played Final Fantasy 7 Remake and tell me that 7 Remake is not the same exact shit as 13, but worse. Because every encounter is force-fed to you. You do not get the option to walk around it. You don't get the option to avoid it. You have to go, walk up, fight the boss, like fight the enemy for 30 seconds. Whoop-de-doo. Final Fantasy 13's back half is just so good. The story is very good. I love the characters. There's a lot of heavy moments in it. Of course, it's disjointed, but they give you the data logs to be able to figure it out yourself if you're so inclined. But it does a good enough job on its face to warrant hiding some stuff like that. I think that Final Fantasy 13 is just serially underrated. It's hated for no reason. You just have to be patient enough to get to the part where the combat opens up and then it becomes a complete cohesive package versus just being hallways and 2 attacks. Also, if anyone says the battle system's too simple, literally the first boss of the game, if you're spamming auto, you will get wiped out. So like you need to learn how to actually menu quickly and react to things quickly. And yeah, if you get one shot as your main character, you die. That sucks. They faced it in 13 too. I think 13 is just super good for what it is and super hated for no reason. Suikoden 4, very much in the same vein. Suikoden, if you don't know it, is a game that is an RPG, traditional turn-based, focused very much so on recruiting a bunch of characters. There's 108 usually in every game. Building up those characters and doing RPG shit, really. I had never played a Suikoden game before 4, so I have no clue why people hated 4 so much. I still have no clue. I'm gonna call King Luca Blight to discuss the game. I'm gonna be by the time he gets your message and shows up, I'm gonna be past it. I think 4 has some of the best gags. Well, probably the best gag I've seen in a video game in my life, which is you're on an island, and there's a siren that's like, "Hey, you want to fuck?" And you have to say no, right? I think it's like inverted. It's like, "Stay on the island forever with me," and it gives you a yes or no. And you know how in games it's like you say no or you say yes as a joke, and then it's like, haha. But for real, like, let's go. And then it gives you the same prompt again, you repeat it and it doesn't do anything. Suikoden 4, if you say you want to stay on the island, I think like 5 times, they're like, okay. And the game plays a bunk ending, and you get put in an infinite loop where all you do is the same thing you're doing in the game, which is like, you collect some firewood, you get some food, and then you go to bed. It just does that infinitely, and it fucking replaces all of the icons, like the character portraits, with like a drawn version, like a really shitty child drawing version. Funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Great game. Undeserved hate. If you aren't like a master of the series and you want to start somewhere, I think 4 is a great choice. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Alright, NFL Street 2. Over the top, arcadey NFL game. That's all there's to say about it. It was during the EA Sports big era with SSX, NBA Street. You get game breakers, you get boosts, you get turbos, you get spins, you get stiff arms. A very showy game. I played the shit out of it as a kid. That's why it's 45. I'm sure 3 is better. I'm sure there's better things in general, but 45, perfect fit. 44 is Neo 2 because it's Neo 1, but everything's better. Neo 2 I have put hundreds of hours into. It is such a good game. There's still an EA big size hole in our gamer hearts. Dude, tell me about it. Every day goes by that I wish that the SSX reboot didn't happen. Well, I liked that game actually. Yeah, I love for like Tricky remake or SSX3 remake or just an SSX game that's just like the originals but bigger. I think there's a huge market for arcadey sports games that are complete packages, and we'll never get it. And that's what it is, because it doesn't sell as well as just base Madden. Yeah, give me NBA Street 3 remake with Mario in it still. That's all I'm asking. Neo 2, it's Neo 1 but better. The yokai abilities add a lot of fun to it. The weapons all play well. There's a metric fuck ton of content. The loot feels fun. The drops feel fun. The foraging feels fun. Everything feels fun about it. I can just sit there and play that game forever. Just a terrific game. It's a rote improvement on Neo 1 in my opinion. In terms of, if you want more of a Souls experience, you go Neo 1. If you want more of a like experience, you go Neo 2. I'm more on the latter. That's my new name. Moron, comma, the latter. Neo 1 did have a better story. I don't agree. I think that Neo 2 was equivalent. I don't think there's a better or worse between the two. Because Neo 1 was more focused on William. Neo 2 is more focused on the overarching cause. And that's more the interesting part to me. Alright, 43. Devil Survivor 1 and 2. I put them together because I'm a piece of shit and didn't want to separate them. Devil Survivor is the SMT spin-off for the DS and 3DS. Whereas a tactical RPG, but with Shin Megami Tensei mechanics, so you capture demons, you raise demons, you build your characters how you want. The main character you get full control over in both games, so you can dump 99 points immediately into magic and have like 2 health. Funniest shit I've ever seen, actually viable too. You get to teach your character spells from your demons. Lots of branching paths and post-game and replayability between both of them. They're just very similar, but they're both great games. Would highly recommend checking them out if you have an itch for a tactical RPG that's a little bit different. Because they're all turn-based inside of the encounters. So like if I go up to a monster and fight it, the monster has his party, I have my party, and then we fight using the press turn system, I believe. And you get to take advantage of weaknesses, you get more damage, you can wipe them out. You can get taken advantage of and getting wiped out. It really is like an interesting spin on the traditional SMT formula. Star Ocean First Departure R. It's Star Ocean 1, but better. Who doesn't love that? First Departure R is a remake or a remaster of First Departure, which is the remake of the SNES version that the West never got. It's a very short game, like 10 to 12 hours, but your party is 4 static characters, 4 optional characters, and there's a lot to explore and figure out how to get certain characters and play through the game with them. There's a huge relatively post-game that can be challenging. Lots of mechanics you have to learn to best maximize your party. But it's probably like the best entry point into Star Ocean because it's so simple that you get to like understand it a lot. Like every other game after just builds on it from ones I've played. It's like your blacksmithing, your photography, how do you get money, how do you get experience, learning all that stuff. And look at that, it's fucking Star Ocean 3. First Departure are a great game, only available on PS4 currently, which is a shame, but you could probably emulate the original PSP one and get a similar experience. And PSP emulators run on a phone. 41, Chaos Legion. Hack and slash game where you have demons that activate abilities. It's a very 2000s game. I just really liked it as a kid, and I still really liked it playing through it again. It's a very simple game, very straightforward. You go from point A to point B, you fight the demons, you continue on, you level up your demons, the demons get stronger. I read Nostalgia and just portmanteaued it. It's a very solid game. I don't think it's anything to write home about, but I loved it as a kid, so get shit on. Whereas X-Blades in this list? Not in it because I haven't played it. Monster Hunter Rise. Banger game. It's Monster Hunter World, but way faster. Only Shambara didn't beat it. Maybe it would break the top 100, I don't know. Also, Sea with Horses. Yeah, true. Monster Hunter Rise, Japanese themed Monster Hunter. Very fun game. Put hundreds of hours into it. There's not much to say. It's Monster Hunter, it's fast. The wire bugs are a bit of a gotcha. Like get out of jail free card, which sucks, but it is what it is. Very highly recommended game. Radio Stories. This is definitely getting nostalgia boosted a bit, but this was the game that taught me East from West. Because I was following a guide for one of the characters and it said go west in the sewers, and I went east and I got confused and I went west. And I'm like, that's how I know. And now every time I think about a compass, I also think of that fucking scene in the sewer where we're running in 2D, and I'm like, I need to go west that way. But it's a very charming game. There's two major pathways through it that change how the game plays out. There's a lot of post-game. The battle system's simple but fun. It has a bit of complexity to it, but not like... At the end of the day, it's hit button, do damage. Very slept-on RPG. Radio Stories, so terrific. Tales of Symphonia. Also nostalgia boosted. Not my favorite Tales of game, but Symphonia is so well regarded, and for good reason. Now, I played it on the GameCube. I'm not going to make point of the recent remaster, because that shit was stupid. Having Tales of Symphonia remastered again and still be worse than the GameCube version is absurd. PS3 version's peak, GameCube version's fine, or it's still like a great way to play it. PS4, I can give a shit. But Symphonia is just a great RPG that really kicked off the Tales of series in the West. Of course, there's Destiny before it, but I guess Fantasia came around the same time as the GBA, but we don't talk about that. Symphonia really was what like spawned that thread and allowed for Abyss, Vesperia, Arise, Mysteria, Berseria, all those to come after it. So it has to earn a high rank at the very least for introducing people to it. The mechanics still hold up. The game is simple. If you're looking for a way to get into the Tales of series, Symphonia is it. And that's all there is to say about it. 37, Bayonetta 1. Bayonetta 1 is so fucking tight. I love Bayonetta 1. I've played through this game like 4 or 5 times. I own every version of it. I have it on Switch. I have it on 360. I don't have the PS3 version because that one sucked, but I'll buy it at some point. I have it on PC. I have played through it on every one of them except for Switch. But it's just such a fun game. It's over the top. The characters are lovable. It's just such a crisp game. Witch time feels terrific every time you pull it off. The accessories help out, but don't feel like overpowered. The weapons all are super fun to find and then use. I can't say enough good things about Bayonetta. I think it's really almost the peak of character action games like that. Tales of Grace's F. So this one's higher than I thought it would be. Don't forget about the booty. Sure, if you're into that. Also, Bayonetta 1 style shits on Bayonetta 2 style. That's all. The fucking beehive. That's peak. Tales of Grace's F. Tales of, again, for like the 7th time on this list. Grace's F has probably the most solid battle system, like flashy, fun to execute on battle system. And it's by far the hardest Tales of game I've ever played. The cel-shaded graphics hold up perfectly. The characters are fun. There's good interactions. There's good moments with all of them. It does what a Tales of game does well. And the combat is just peak. Like, I love it. There are like rewards for hitting really tight dodges and satisfying feedback for all parts of it. It's not the best Tales of game on this list, I guarantee it, but it's very, very, very good. Ninja Gaiden 1 Sugma. It's Ninja Gaiden 1. It's a classic. I played Sigma most recently and I liked it. It just... Ninja Gaiden 1 had this, like, aura of, like, the undefeatable game when it came out, but also it was just such a good game in general. There's so many cool moments, so many, like, hard fights. Sigma adds some content that people don't really like, but that's fine. The weapons all felt cool and fun to use and fun to get. Replaying it felt good. This is the one for the Xbox or PS3. Also, what up, Nox? Welcome. But yeah, that's all there's really to say about Ninja Gaiden 1. Bravely Default 1. Bravely Default 1 is so much higher than the other two on the list because of what it did for the time. It was such a solid game with so many unique mechanics and unique approaches to traditional RPGs that even today it's worth going back to and looking at. They did do some goofy shit with like microtransactions where you could speed up stuff. Like there's a core mechanic of like building a town up from scratch and you have to like let time pass for the things to happen. You don't have to worry about that. You just fucking stop playing the game for a night, close your 3DS, walk away, and you're good to go. There's no need to even engage with that stuff. But Bravely Default 1, super, super solid JRPG with so many good approaches and stuff. Would highly recommend that game over 2 even. It also had a fiendishly difficult final boss. And also one of the goofiest gags with the 3DS camera that I've ever seen in a game. I'm not going to spoil. But it was fucking ridiculous. So many good moments in that game. Stranger of Sword City is probably one of the mini games that no one's ever heard of on this list. It's another dungeon RPG, but it has probably the best art style and best soundtrack that I've seen in any game ever. I love the Stranger Sword City soundtrack. I love the art style. And it's super cheap on Steam. Like, you can get it for like $2. This recently got re-released on Switch. Recently, probably in the last year or two. As Stranger Sword City Revisited. The base game, I think, is perfectly good. But it's a very punishing game too. So there's a lot of challenge and a lot of party building and thought that goes into it, while also just being this beautiful game that, like, you never get tired of. Like, it's a long game, but it doesn't feel long when I played it. Like, that game truly holds like a very solid place in my heart. Would highly recommend it. Vesperia, of course, holds a more solid place in my heart because it's Vesperia. Vesperia has some of the best characters, some of the best combat, some of the best music in the Tales of series. Not the best, but some of. There's 8 billion different ways to play it now, since it got re-released on the PS4 and Xbox One and Switch, and PC, and you can get it routinely for $10. If you don't want Symphonia, or you're worried that's going to be too antiquated, too old for you, go with Vesperia. It's a super great way to enter the series as well. Also, Raven and Repeat are two of my favorite characters in the series entirely. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses. Banging ass soundtrack. Yu-Gi-Oh! But it takes place in like a fucking grid, like a strategy RPG. And RPG mechanics is perfect. Duelist of the Roses is such a weird game, but it works so well. And there's so many like goofy interactions and stuff, and like so many challenges. Like, oh, you have to go through this crush card area where if you have too much you have too much attack, you get fucking shit on. You can win by surrounding your opponent's leader with just cards, so they can't summon, and there's nothing they can do about it. It's the funniest shit. It was in this weird experimental period of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where like you got Duelist of the Roses, you got Falsebound Kingdom, you got Dungeon Dice monsters and stuff. So it's just a very unique game that I feel holds its place throughout time, because like there's no other game that's done something similar. It's just so unique to me. Oh, Castle Monsters, as another example of that weird experimental period. Yu-Gi-Oh! Castle Monster Coliseum, not on here, but honorable mention, I guess. I haven't really played it. Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes. So if you're here for Devil Kings, it's the same but better. It's a very flashy game. It's hack and slash, but the characters are all fun. There's really good methods of powering up, so it feels good. The stories are funny and engaging. Yeah, Devil Kings is such an anomaly. I don't even want to like think about it more than I have to. But Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes is super good. Like it really struck the balance of like flashy but playable. Like, it's not like hit one button and kill everything. It's like you still have to combo, you have to be smart about it, but all the characters play entirely differently, so like you have to know how to play them to be effective. And there's a huge roster too. Definitely worth looking into if you've never given it a shot. But yeah. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. I would honestly move this down at this point. I prefer the original. Oops. Spoilers. No. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal is the third in the original trilogy. If you want to watch me play through it, it's on the YouTube. On my channel, fully uploaded, 100% playthrough. Whether it was mental exhaustion by the time I got to it, or what, it just didn't have the same pull to me as the first two did. But like, the original Ratchet and Clank trilogy is just so insanely good across the board that like, the lacklusterness of it is made up for by the fact that it's still a fun game. Would highly recommend the original trilogy of Ratchet and Clank, but I've said all I can say about it. Yu-Gi-Oh! The Falsebound Kingdom. Going back to Duelist of the Roses, Falsebound Kingdom holds a special place in my heart because of the fact that it's Yu-Gi-Oh! But a turn-based real-time strategy game. So the game plays out where you have a map, you have cities you need to take over that are owned by other people. Pretty common RTS fare. But each character has 3 monsters with them, up to 3. And they're just monsters from the game, the card game, but just as like RPG monsters. I don't know why it was so cool to me, and it probably sucks now. But like, they have different attacks too, so like, and they have passives and stuff, so it's like a lot of party building and stuff, like deck building, but it's just completely different. I remember there's one enemy that is the Dungeon Master and 2 Dungeon Worms. And you go like, Dungeon Worm's a shitty monster, Dungeon Master's shitty. But that combo is so vile that it fucks you up, and you're like, oh no, what do I do? So there's a lot of like moments like that, and there's like, you have to go out of your way to find monsters, and like, they're challenging scenarios. There are 3 different stories. I don't know. It's such a game. The game is so underrepresented. Probably because it shares the same exact soundtrack with Duelist of the Roses, because they literally copy pasted it. I think the free duel from Duelist of the Roses is Joey's boss theme. Like 1-to-1, same. But it's such a unique game. It's such a unique take on something like Yu-Gi-Oh! That I love it. I fucking adore it. Skies of Arcadia Legends. Super, super classic JRPG. Combat didn't age perfectly, but the game has ship battles, and ship battles are tight. Yeah, the story of Skies of Arcadia Legends is great. The added content is fun. The exploration's fun. The combat is enjoyable. You get to level up. You get to power up your spells. There's a lot of side shit to do. It's a very wide, expansive game with just an unbeatable aesthetic, and the soundtrack's great too. Highly recommended if you like turn-based RPGs. .hack GU Last Recode. So Last Recode is a re-release, remaster, plus final story to the original .hack GU trilogy that was on the PS2. .hack is a series that takes place in an MMORPG. So you play as a character who is playing the game. So there's a meta there, a bit of meta. You go through dungeons, you do MMO fare. GU made the game less of an MMORPG style and more of an action RPG style. Which I think makes it a lot more tolerable. There's been talk about like localizing the original quadrilogy, or not localizing, but remastering, remaking, re-releasing. If they do that, it's going to suck unless they fix it. Because the original quadrilogy's combat does not age well. It's you walk up, you wait, you cast a spell once in a while. GU, you can play for 150 hours through, and the combat still feels snappy and fun. If you want to get that .hack game, get it on Steam. It's like $5 on sale. It's such a fucking insane value proposition. Like, some of these games, if they're on Steam, go for so cheap for like 50 plus hours of just entertainment. GU drags a bit at points, and Last Recode, the final story, feels rushed. Sure, there are drawbacks, but it's ultimately like a 9 out of 10 game for me. There's so much world building and so much. Like, if you get immersed in it, you really get immersed in it. And I love that about it. Star Ocean 3, the black sheep of Star Ocean, here again. Star Ocean 3 has a lot of really cool mechanics that never get lauded. MP killing is probably my favorite mechanic in an RPG. namely that you can drain someone's MP to 0 and it kills them as if you drain their HP to 0. The combat's super fluid, very simple but hard to master. Lots of characters, lots of recruitment events, replayability. The post game is super expansive. There's a dot hack anime, yeah. Yeah, it was dot hack Ring, I think. I don't know. I never watched it. Yeah, this is a Cyber Sleuth. But Star Ocean 3, there's a twist in it that people really don't like. I don't care because I played it first, so it didn't bother me. I think that from pure action RPG standpoint, Star Ocean 3 is a killer of a game. I love it. And the post game just is fun. Like building your Omega weapons and learning the final arts and challenging like the super bosses and stuff is just, it's a joy. I think originally I had like 140 hours on my PS2 save, and then it got corrupted, so get fucked me. But I'll replay through it at some point. Def Jam Fight for New York. Bet you didn't see this one coming. Def Jam Fight for New York is a super solid fighting game with a crazy good single player mode, and it's honestly like it's super expensive for a good reason. It's such a good game. Making your own character and building them up through like the story mode is just terrific. Like learning new styles and learning new moves and changing how you fight. All the crowd interactions in the arenas. You can throw someone in front of a fucking subway and that's super tight. Like there's so much character in the game as well as like actual people. Again, this yeah, that has Snoop Dogg as the main villain. I think his name is Crow in the game. They still run tournaments for Fight for New York. But Fight for New York, the anecdote tied to it though is in 6th grade, there's a like go away to camp thing that my school did. So like you take a week, you go out into nature and do whatever. I really didn't want to go. I fucking hated the idea. I was also 11. And I went, and as a reward for going, because I think it was like a free thing, my parents bought me a Def Jam Fight for New York. So I played it at 11, I played it at like 15, I played it at 18, I've been playing this game my whole life, basically. And it never gets old. You watch creators like Maximilian Dude play through it for the first time and adore it. You watch people like Vine Sauce play through it Corrupted, and it's the funniest shit. Like it's a game that really just sticks the landing on what it is. It took Vendetta and amplified it to such a degree that it became this cult classic, just super great game. Love Fight for New York. Pokemon Puzzle League. Now that's a tonal shift. Pokemon Puzzle League is a paneled pawn game like I mentioned before, but it's Pokemon themed. That's all there is to it. There's a 3D mode. The 3D mode sucks. It runs like 2 FPS, and it's impossible to navigate. But what Pokemon Puzzle League has that the other ones don't is that I've sat there for hours and hours and hours trying to actively get good at this game. It was the first game that ever inspired me to actually get good at this subgenre, and I still fucking suck. I've played through the game on hard, I've played through it on super hard, I've played through it on very hard, and I've almost finished on super hard, but I gave up. I'll get back to it at some point because I was playing it for legit like several hours a day, just headphones on, grinding. What makes it so much better than the Yoshi one? In multiplayer, you play as a Pokemon trainer from the anime, so like Ash, Misty, Brock, etc. The game has, and you choose Pokemon, so each character has 3 Pokemons which attribute to rounds. There's no super effective stuff like that. But the callouts that the Pokemon have are the funniest shit. And the callouts that the fucking trainers have are the funniest shit. And it's just It's terrific. Like, you're just fucking clapping someone with Cloister, and then you just hear Cloister, and the other person's like, oh no, I'm dead. It's the funniest thing. You can't top that level of unintentional comedy. Like, why did they dub Cloister like that? Why? They didn't have to, they did. But yeah, Pokemon Puzzle League, terrific. There's also a lot of single player content outside of it, like the spa service and like puzzles and stuff like that. Like specific puzzles, like how do you solve this in 2 moves. But it's also 60 FPS, so it's super snappy and really high intensity. It's just really just probably the peak of the genre. And they're not going to make it anymore because it's kind of it's impossible to iterate on without changing the formulas to the point where it's not fun. Because of how trash works, like you can just soft lock games forever, which sucks. There was one more game in this like genre that I know of, which is Planet Puzzle League for the DS. It was alright. Didn't have any character to it at all. Alright. Sonic Adventure 2. It's Sonic Adventure 2. What the fuck do you want me to say? It's... You have your Rouge levels, you have your Knuckles levels, you have your Sonic levels and Shadow levels, you have the Tails and Robotnik levels, and you rotate between them. It's very fun, it's platforming, you go fast, you shoot things, you find the things, it's very fun. Sonic Adventure 2 is Sonic Adventure 2. The Chows are great, the game is great. It's a classic. It's the classic. Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, I just put the trilogy because it's a trilogy. I don't think there's value in separating them. But third was probably my favorite of the 3. Super expansive, very cohesive series that leads into an even wider breadth series. Trails in the Sky 1 is a super slow burn. Trails in the Sky 2 capitalizes on all the anticipation built up in 1, and then third is fully character driven, completely different, but it as a trilogy is such a complete package that is 100 plus hours of playtime, and as challenging as you want it to be. You play the game on Nightmare, you're gonna suffer. You want to get all the BP? Guess what, fucko? You're getting cooked. You're not gonna get all of them without a guide. But aside from that, it's a traditional JRPG where you have your spells, you have your MPs, you have your turn order, whatever. But the story is really the selling point. The characters are the selling point. If you've never played Trails in the Sky, cannot recommend it enough. Do it now. Like, leave my stream and go. Speaking of complete killer JRPGs, Xenoblade Chronicles 1. I played it on the 3DS and I played the definitive version on Switch. Such a good series, or such a good game rather. I can't say series, I haven't played 2 and 3. But the characters in Xenoblade Chronicles are so tight. The combat is so solid. There's so many good moments in the story, and so many good soundtracks that really bolster those moments. The exploration's insane. The biggest drawback is that the quests are annoying. But a lot of the times you can you can get done with them before you even start them. It just depends on how much you want to explore. The game will let you run up to a level 90 monster at level 2 and get one shot. But it also allows you to go revisit those areas and think about those places as you go through the game, this huge expansive game. And you think, man, that fucking guy, I'm gonna get his ass. And then you do, and it feels great. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles, very, very good game. Easily I put 200 hours into it across both. And has probably one of the best soundtracks to video games today. Before we go any further, I'm going to run to the bathroom again, because I've been talking for another fucking hour. Never played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, not yet. I started it for like 10 minutes because I bought a European copy by accident. I wanted to make sure that the DLC from Torna worked with it. It did, surprisingly. But yeah, top 20 bathroom breaks. This one, and 19 others that I've taken before. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright. Yeah, I was just talking to Nutty about it. How like, just like, are you gonna play any games after this? I'm like, I wasn't expecting this to take fucking 3 hours. But turns out 100 games and me having constantly strong opinions on games I've played means a lot of talking. But it's probably more talking than I've done for work, which is cool. I hope you don't want to know this song. It's from the A-Train Hajimaru no... Fuck. I'm trying to remember the actual name of the fucking game. Old plays. It's A-Train Hajimaru no... I don't want to say Kiseki because I don't think that's it. A-Train Switch. In English it's A-Train All Aboard Tourism. But it's a train simulator that I bought from PlayAsia. Shout out PlayAsia. And it came with the soundtrack, so I ripped it and I put it. Anyway, moving on. Evolution, the world of the sacred device. Now, if there's a fucking series I have too much to say about that no one wants to listen to, it's Evolution for the Dreamcast. Evolution is quite honestly one of the tightest JRPGs I've ever played in my life. It was probably one of the first games I played that had roguelike elements, in that your main goal is... I'm going to play through it on stream one day. Fuck a video essay. I'll upload a whole fucking playthrough. But you play as Mag Launcher. You're part of the Launcher family who's chronically in debt 'cause your dad's a fucking deadbeat. If I recall correctly. So... you, as Mag, go into these ancient ruins and salvage artifacts to sell to the fucking... God, what are they called? Like the museum, basically. To get your way out of debt, but also buy things, buy resources, stuff like that. If you die in the dungeon, all your shit's gone. Tough shit. So it's like constantly stressful, and you can like leave it at any time, of course. But you get two party members. Maybe it's just one. It's one in the first one, because Linear, who's like the mute girl that tags along with you as the healer, is always in your party. But you can get like Chain, you can get Pepper, you can get Gray. Best name in the world, Gray, first name, Nade, last name. Who's a butler. And like each character has like their own pros and cons. And you just go explore these dungeons while the story plays out. You get parts from Mag that completely changes how he approaches battles. So like you can get support pieces, you can get attack pieces, defensive, etc. And it's just such a unique package with such a charming soundtrack and the like quintessential 3D chibi Dreamcast like vibe. It's just such a fucking terrific game. Don't play Evolution Worlds for the GameCube. It's not the same thing. But Evolution 1 on Dreamcast, 19 easy. Might even be higher. If it weren't for 18, Disgaea 2, baby. Disgaea 2 is Disgaea 1 on crack, in that there's so many more mechanics to take advantage of. But it doesn't feel overwhelming. The main gimmick in Disgaea 2 is getting felonies, because you're a demon, you want to be evil. So you get felonies, and felonies relate to how much XP gain you get. And depending on what crime you commit, the more felonies you get. So like, I think there's one for like defeating a super boss, and it gives you 50 felonies for a character. And it's a matter of like, the game sets the situation, and then you have to work around it. So like, to get the felonies, you have to report to court. Felonies for committing crimes, I think it's like 2. Pretty value one. So like the felony is an item. So you go into the item world for the felony to attend court. And once you get to the floor that the court is on, there's a portal. So you're like, fuck, what am I going to do? I have to do this 999 times for each person? No. You can stack your whole fucking party, like you can put them on top of each other, and throw them into the portal. And then the fucking judge is like, well, there's 20 of you here, what am I going to do? I guess I'll just charge you all. And the game lets you do shit like that. It also has one of the most horrifying endings in any RPG I've ever played. But not like traditional ending, like the actual like intended ending is different, but optional ending. But Disgaea 2 is a wonderful package. Again, it's on PC. It costs like $2 on sale. You'd be dumb not to buy it and at least give it a shot. Wildly charming game, very funny, lovable characters, and a lot of content. The World Ends With You on the DS specifically. The World Ends With You, action RPG where the whole shtick is your left hand on the D-pad controls the top character, and you use the stylus for Neku, the main character, on the bottom screen. And you tap your actions and you do whatever you need to do. The combat system is really the main selling point, and the game, again, oozes style. I don't want to be a broken record, but like the soundtrack's super punchy and like hip hop and punk. It really bolsters the vibe that the game's going for, is kind of being like a loner, a reject. And you'll meet all these characters, you learn about them, they're all great. There's a bunch of different pins to get which change your combat abilities. And it's a really nice, cohesive package once you get used to the gameplay, which is unique but is satisfying. Because at the end of the game, like, you're playing as one guy on the top screen, you're banging out combos while you're fighting the things on the bottom screen trying not to die. Or just shitting out damage like crazy. The reason I specify the DS version is because there is a Android iOS port and final remix for the Switch. The downside of those ones is that they take away the split control. So you don't get to control the top character, they just act, which I think ruins a lot of it. But this is the only game I've ever lost, and it's so sad because I love this game so much. But I have a flash cart now, so really what's the difference? I still have the case and stuff. But wonderful, wonderful game. Now we're getting to real shit. EDF 2017 for the original Xbox, or the Xbox 360. Super, super budget game. I bought this game off Walmart.com in 2008 for $20 new. And that was like the launch price. This was the peak, the final boss of value propositions for fucking scuffed ass, like, low budget games. And I love it. It got re-released on the Switch's EDF 3. But EDF 2017, you only have the Ranger class. You have your weapons and that's it. You farm your armor, you do what you want to do. It's super straightforward, no frills, shoot bug with gun. And that shit was wild to me as a kid. That I could just like spend $20, get it shipped to my house, and just play it for hours on end. Like, I probably put like 50 hours into it, and I never beat Inferno mode, but one day I'm going to go back and I'm going to beat Inferno on 2017. That's my goal, because you get the fucking Annihilation Cannon, or Annihilation Gun, one of the two, that just wipes out everything, including you. It's hilarious. But yeah, like, for $20, brand new, insane game. It was the coolest shit I ever saw. And even nowadays, like, I can still go back and play 2017. It's chunky, but like, And sure, EDF 4 and 5 are probably better, but I like 2017 a lot. 15. Dark Cloud 2, baby. Dark Cloud 2 is an action RPG, mostly focused around dungeon crawling, but it has the diorama system, which is a system that allows you to take bits and pieces and build them into towns. And there's two parts of the game. One is the dungeon exploration, and one's the town part. So in order to like correct the timeline, you have to build the town the perfect way, and that's like if Bill wants to live next to Jill, but Jill wants to live between A and B, and like you have all these sub goals and stuff. You go and you find the new people. You go recruit them to the town from the major city, and it's like, oh, I'll only go if you give me a photo of this monster. So you go and take a photo of it. It's a super cool experience, and it's honestly repeated from Dark Cloud 1, but I didn't play Dark Cloud 1 nearly as much as 2. 2, you also play as Max, and I can't remember her name, but she's the reason I never beat the game because I sucked and I never used her. But like, you take pictures of stuff to get the ability to make your equipment stronger, to find more stuff, and then you clear out a dungeon floor, and then you play fucking golf on it because of course. This is Sonic Adventure actually. It just happens to be the Knights part of Sonic Adventure 1. What's Lies? But anyway, Dark Cloud 2 is like, it's a rote improvement over Dark Cloud 1. Trust me, I know what songs I have available and what I don't. This is specifically from the pinball section of the casino level, where it's a Nights into Dreams pinball. I'm just being a smartass. But yeah, if you never played Dark Cloud 2, you can get it on PS4 and 5. It says Nights into Dreams because that's where it's from. But yeah, no, it's music from the Sonic Adventure soundtrack that happens to be from Nights into Dreams. If you bought the CD Sonic Adventure soundtrack disc 1, you would get this song on it. No, I'm being a fucking nerd emoji is what I'm doing. But yeah, Dark Cloud 2, super great game. Lots of cool twists and turns, very good progression mechanics. You get a fucking robot that you take pictures of stuff and you can learn how to make new stuff for your robot. And you can just run over everything with a robot. The chick can transform into monsters, but it's kind of a fucking squash mechanic because it sucks. And there's no time that you'd ever want to do it except to talk to other monsters. Playing golf again. You get to play golf on the floor you cleared out entirely, and you get rewards based on it. Super great game. Goemon's Great Adventure, another game I never beat, but is unbeatable in terms of what it is. Goemon's Great Adventure. Yeah, I wonder what this song is from too. If only it said it on the screen. Yeah, no, this game sucks. But Goemon's Great Adventure, now that's a killer. N64 game sequel to Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. You play as Goemon and Beastmaru, Yai, and Sasuke. And you go through platforming levels with some of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. I still listen to them daily. Like, the game plays so well. There's so much to do for a platformer. It was kind of wild to me. Like, one of the first missions you take on is a DJ that lives in the town, and he's like, I need you to get my deck, my headphones, and like whatever else. And the first time you go through the level that it's in, you go down the bottom part, so you don't think to explore, right? It's like, well, I'm gonna keep going forward. But then you replay it, and they put the fucking thing all the way up there, and you have to figure out how this like swinging mechanic works, and how you can launch yourself up to the next one, and then you can finally get it, and then you have to clear the level. So it's like all these branching paths and like new ways to approach it, and like the different characters have different pros and cons. Like Abismaru has a super high jump, but is slower and will generally jump like less distance than Goemon. Goemon's kind of the all-rounder with a nice projectile attack. And his pole reaches, or his pipe reaches longer than Abismaru's fucking fan. Sasuke attacks a lot faster, but is really short range, and so on and so forth. It's just such a charming game that no one talks about. It also has one of the weirdest fucking N64 like magazine ads, because no one knew what the fuck it was even when it came out. It's a mystery that came out. And one final point, you get to fight an Impact, which is a giant robot, and it's a first person from the cockpit, and you're just fighting it out. You can play it with 2 players as well, so it's completely co-op. And in those fights, the second player plays in a separate robot, and you can fucking baton pass to him. So you can like begin the shit beat out of you, baton pass to the other player, and they fire their fucking super laser at him. It's the coolest shit, through and through. Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. Again, I've played through it. I said enough about Ratchet & Clank, but Going Commando holds a special place in my heart, specifically for the desert level, because being able to crawl through there, find all of the crystals, and just explore and have fun, compared to the generic like linear level, was so cool to me. I played that game at least 4 or 5 times through as a kid. It's terrific, man. I can't. It's the peak of the original trilogy in my mind. Now here's where we're getting to the real shit. Tales of the Abyss is probably my favorite Tales of game. The characters are great. It introduced Free Run, which is a wild change from Symphonia, because you go from locked in a 2D plane in a 3D space to being able to fully move. It had the elemental field mechanic where you can modify your arts based on the field you're standing in. The spellcasters were fun to play. The melees were fun to play. The ranged people were fun to play. The story is great. It still fucks me up years later. It has one of the best story beats I have played in any RPG, which I'm not going to spoil because that'd be dumb. The biggest problem with Tales of the Abyss is that it's stuck on PS2 and 3DS. But if you want a copy for the 3DS, I believe VGP.ca still has them in stock. Or realistically just fucking emulate it on PS2. Bamco does not know how to manage their fucking IPs, so they will never re-release it because they're fucking cowards. So that's how that goes. Do I want an Abyss remaster? Hell yes I do. It's been 17 years, 17 godforsaken years, that I've been asking for Destiny Director's Cut to get released in the West. In the amount of time I've gone from being a shithead child to being a manager and software engineer that has enough money to buy imported copies of Destiny Director's Cut, and a translation group already made a translation for it, so I don't even need Bamco anymore. I'm just gonna use my money to support those groups if possible. I literally can't. I can support the group, but I can't support the product, you know, that's kind of illegal. But I can at least use my voice to support those groups. So shout out Life Bottle Productions, doing God's work. They're crazy efficient. Fuck Absolute Zero, because they baited me for like 14 years and then just didn't release anything. but I'm sure they had their reasons, so I'm mostly tongue-in-cheek about that. But there's a super strong scene focused on translating the Tales of games with a bunch of skilled people behind it. And I think they're doing an Abyss HD mod. They're working on Fantasia X, Narakiri Dungeon. Yeah, Life Bottle was that, where like, well, there was one group that was like, oh, I'm making a bunch of progress, and then another group was like, yeah, we're doing the same thing basically, but we're really like, we're flying through it, we're like halfway done. And then like, within like 6 months, they're like, yeah, we're 100% done. Or like 98%, with the last 2% negligible. And now they're like, they're still refining it though. That's the best part. Like, they're so dedicated to it. The Tales of community is so like devoted to the actual games, when Bamco is devoted to money, and it's like the most fucking bizarre thing. You'd think they would just double down and re-release the old games or something. But they won't. So support Lifeball Productions, whether it's volunteering, whether it's just shouting them out, promoting them. But that's gonna be the best you got. You're not gonna get an official Tales of the Abyss in any capacity in the next decade, because Tales of the Raid is still printing money. Anyway, continuing forward. Grandia 1, baby. Also never beat this game. I got to the end, but I got stuck because I was a stupid child. Grandia holds a special place in my heart because I originally played Grandia 2, and my dad, I think I mentioned this before on stream, but my dad would always go to the Game Crazy Bias, which is the game store attached to Hollywood Video, and ask the guy that worked there for recommendations. And I got Grandia as like an Easter present, which was super weird, but I know it's because this game cost like $10 at the time. But I loved it. Grandia 1 is so tight, and there's so many cool mechanics in it. Like having the main character be able to use different weapons and leveling up, leading to different results. Like, oh, to use this skill you have to have level 20 sword and level 20 axe. That type of like character building was like unheard of to me at the time. Being like raised on JRPGs basically. Grandia is super solid, and you can get them both on Steam, I believe now. But I'm so happy that they at least re-released it in some capacity. It's not like the definitive edition, because I'm pretty sure that the definitive one is Grandia for the Saturn, and whatever the other thing that they attached to it was. There's like a weird like side spin-off story for the Saturn that never came out in America. But there's so many ways to play it now, which is super tight. I would highly recommend playing Grandia in any way you can get your hands on it. It's such a charming and delightful game with so much to offer even in 2023. Now we're going to the top 10. SSX Tricky, baby. Tricky holds a special place in my heart. But Tricky, I put so much time into to unlock like the platinum skin, to get golds as every character on like every track. There are some really hard tracks at the end of the game. Unlocking the different boards, using shortcuts. The tracks were so free-flowing that like, if you watch a speedrun, it's crazy how much shit they can pull off in that game, and how many paths there are to take and stuff like that. It was super high amplitude. You're jumping super high. You're doing flips and shit. You're doing these crazy, unrealistic tricks like fucking b-boying on your snowboard. It was the first over-the-top one that I played, because I played Tricky before the first or third. And it was really like defining for me, because it really set off my love for like those big arcadey games. Because it was just so silly and fun. I loved it. Number 9, Yakuza 0. I alluded to this earlier, but Yakuza 0 is so fucking tight. The combat's super cool. If you get tired of the combat, You go do the cabaret minigame. The cabaret minigame is a fucking game in and of itself. You get tired of that, you go do the other side content. You get tired of that, you go switch to Majima, and you go do new shit. And it's all supported by just great characters and great side stories with like completely different ways to approach the game at every beck and call. You have the threat of fucking Mr. Billionaire, whatever the fuck his name is, that just beats the shit out of you and steals your money. And it has such a layer of refinement on because of the like positioning of it in the series. Yakuza 1 was built off of 0. Or Yakuza 0 was built after Yakuza 1, Kiwami, I believe. I don't remember the timing. All that matters is I played 1 and I played 0. I would not recommend that. I would recommend playing 0 first and then playing 1. Obviously, you'll get a little bit of a regression in game mechanics, but 1's a lot shorter, so it doesn't feel terrible. But Yakuza 0 is just such a completely solid game. It's beautiful to look at. It's beautiful to run around Kamurocho and Sotenbori. It's just so much fun just to be in that world. It's terrific. It's absolutely terrific. There's a reason that Yakuza 0 really like kicked off the frenzy of Yakuza in the West, and it's for a really good reason. There's 0 in it, you know it's good. Yeah, my favorite games were 0 out of 10s. SSX Tricky fucking slapped. The soundtrack fucking ripped. Everything about it was tight. Just the sense of speed and height and stuff, unbeatable. So SMT Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. This one I feel less bad about combining because it is literally like it's a duology that got split into 2 games for reasons. It should have been 1 game as far as I'm concerned, but it had such an unbeatable aesthetic at the time. Like there's so much. I'm trying to like vocalize it, but the character building was different than most SMT games because you have base characters that you then teach skills in like a sphere grid type of way. And you power up that way, but like certain characters are just not viable in certain fights. So like you use heat and you get blown the fuck out because he is weak against ice at all times. So you put in Cielo and then they use fucking Confusion. And he's just weak to every fucking status ailment because Cielo fucking sucks. Then you get to post game and Cielo's fucking required. So no character doesn't have like their time in the sun. And just the overarching story of Digital Devil Saga is terrific. Damn, good prediction. But Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2 as like a cohesive package is just super tight. I'm not even mad about the times where yep, that's the song. There's a mob in Digital Devil Saga 1 in the final dungeon where if they get initiative on you, they will put you to sleep and then one-shot you with a move that only hits sleeping targets. It's hilarious. Definitely worth it to take a trip through those 2. Now here's the hottest take I probably have on this list with 10-2-7. And the long and short of it is 10-2's job system is quite literally perfection of the job system in my mind. The biggest problem I have with the job system is that you are locked into what you do. There's no way around it. Like, if you get into a fight that you're not equipped for, you can't switch out in almost all of them. And you're just fucked. Like, oh man, I wish I had a black mage right now. You can do that. That's the best part. In 10.2, it's peak job system. I don't think any game's done a job system better. Maybe 13 came close, but it didn't have the same oomph, so I don't agree with that. I didn't hate 10.2's story, and 10.2's soundtrack is absolutely top tier. Catch me crying to 1,000 words in the club at all points in my life. I don't care. The Thunder Plains section is impactful to me, and if you don't agree, I don't give a shit. FF5 job system better? Well, call me when in FF5 you can switch between 3 different jobs and then get a super job that transforms you into a fucking flower that allows you to one-shot shit. I'll be waiting. I think 10.2 being its worst facet is that's called 10.2. What's my number? 1, 2, 3, go fuck yourself. Yeah, it's because it's Final Fantasy X-2. But I don't know. I think in a vacuum, it's a very good game. There's some weird shit, sure, like brother wanting to fuck his cousin. But that's called comedy, baby. And I don't think you could get away with 10.2 nowadays. I don't think you could get away with it at any point in history. But the longer that time goes on, the more like unrealistic it gets to get that game. I don't know. I don't have to defend it because it's my opinion, but also I genuinely think that 10.2 is like some of the most fun I've had in a game on PS2 and PS3. Also in 10.2 last mission you get to recruit monsters, which is super tight, and you can just ignore the whole battle system and make a fucking chocobo that one-shots everything. Who doesn't want that? If you don't, I don't care. I do, and that was cool. So would highly recommend 10.2. Number 6, Sonic Adventure, baby. It's Big the Cat. That's literally the whole fucking justification. I played it as a kid. It was the first game I got at age 7 on my Dreamcast, and you can play as Big the Cat. And I love Big the Cat, so get fucked. It should be number 1, but it's not because it's not all Big the Cat. Evolution 2. All that good shit. I mean, what came out when the fucking Dreamcast launched? Like ESPN NFL 2K1, ESPN NBA 2K1, Sonic Adventure. But no, it's fucking Sonic Adventure is Kino. Like, people can shit talk it all they want. I don't agree. I think that there's a charm in how jank it is. Like Sonic going "Wah!" is the funniest shit. Like, you can't get mad at that. It's impossible. It's the funniest thing. And if you haven't watched it, watch the real-time dub of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. It makes everything so much better. Like, it's such a great baseline for hilarious moments. And it's such a fun game. And I say that having just 100%ed it the last 2 years. And I will still hold true the fact that if you don't like the Big the Cat sections, it's because you don't know how to play the Big the Cat sections, and it's a skill issue on your part. Read the instruction manual next time, pendejo or pendeja. But anyway, Evolution 2. All that good shit I said about Evolution 1, it's better. Evolution 2 is super tight. I don't need to repeat myself because it's basically the same game, just it iterates on it and it's better. But I love Evolution 2. It's truly just Evolution 1 to Evolution 2 is a true combo. You can't dodge it. It's like so super good. It's why they tried to make Evolution Worlds a thing and then fumbled it horrifically. No. Alright. Number 4. Final Fantasy X. I bet you thought I was going to put 10-2 over 10. You're wrong. Final Fantasy X is fucking peak. I love the game. I love everything about it. The soundtrack's killer. The story is terrific. The characters all have their moments. The building of characters in the sphere grid was such a weirdly unique concept at the time, with such a scale that like you couldn't really understand it. And on repeat playthroughs, it just gets better. You notice more things. You struggle less with bosses. Like, you don't get fucking worked by Seymour and Gagazet anymore, and you get to like listen to Fight with Seymour on loop for like 20 minutes. Dude, I've listened to that song for literal hours. I've played sessions of League of Legends for like 10 hours, only listen to that song. I've studied to fucking sound like so many exams, just that song. The one thing I will say is that the remaster for PS3 and PS4 did ruin some songs, and that's all there is to say about that. They did not decide to put the best song in the hardest fight. They put that on Seymour Omnis, which is in Sin, which is not that hard, unless you're like me, a dumbass who spec'd full into Aeons, and Seymour one-shots them the second they're summoned. Then it becomes the hardest one. No, Gagazet has a different song. Yeah, Win will not have spoilers, so. But yeah, Final Fantasy X, terrific game. You can play it anywhere nowadays, which is great. I have a PS2 copy. I have a PS3 copy. I bought a European imported PS4 copy that I didn't know existed. But Final Fantasy X, easily top 5. But like anything after like top 10 is like, you know, I'd say top 25 is contentious, like super contentious. So anyway, 3. Snowboard Kids 2, baby. No one saw this one coming except for me because I wrote the list. Snowboard Kids 2 is probably the most charming racing game on the N64. Snowboard Kids 2. Well, what's wrong with that? Tell me. What's the problem? Tell young me, who played this game at his friend Mark's house for the first time, what's wrong with that? Snowboard Kids 2 is the first game I went and bought with my first big boy paycheck. It's just such a great game. Like, the tracks are fun, the side games are fun, playing the stupid mail delivery minigame where if you don't know, you don't know, and like, there's so much to learn, and the game has so many nuanced mechanics. Like, if you're being shot at by an ice blast that'll freeze you, you can jump and spin, like do a 180 in place as you're going downhill, and reflect it. You can do that with all projectiles. It also has the best lap mechanic of any racing game, and I will die on this hill, in that you have to get on the ski lift, but only one person's allowed on at the time. So you can just fuck someone over super hard because you hit them with something, and they go tumbling into the corner opposite the fucking ski lift, and they have to slowly work their way over. So like, you're never safe. It's just such a solid, fun game. Like, I would play Snowboard Kids 2 at basically any point in my life and have a great time with it. It's also just funny. You can play as a giant dog too. What's there not to love? Alright, number 2. Disgaea 1, baby. Disgaea 1 I've put so much time into over my life. I played it on PS2 back in the day when it was there was a point in time when Disgaea 1 was a very, very rare and sought after game because it was Atlas, I think, that published Disgaea 1 on the PS2. Might be wrong though. but it went out of print and then it got reprinted and it was super cheap, so I bought it and I played it all the way through, did most everything there was to do, and it was super cool. Beyond that, it got re-released on the PSP. I bought it again. I put 100-something hours into it and did everything there was to do in it. It got released on Steam. I bought it again. I did everything there was to do in it. It got released on PS4. I bought it again. I bought the collector's edition. It got released on the DS. I didn't buy it, but I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna do it again. Nothing can stop me from playing this fucking game. It's the perfect balance of like convoluted bullshit mechanics and also just turn your brain off, have fun. You learn how to work the item world, you learn the mechanics, you learn how to best take advantage of things. Each version has its own bugs that you can exploit, like, and the best part is I can recommend it with no shame to anyone because it cost like $2 on Steam on sale. It's wild. Settle down? Don't tell me to settle down. You settle down. Disgaea 1 is like legitimately one of my favorite games ever. I mean, it's to the point where I have a fucking Etna mouse pad, dude. That's not even playing it for the bit. I use that. Yeah, it's literally called the No Pie mouse pad. Great marketing. But no, I adore Disgaea 1 beyond a reasonable doubt. And number 1, if you predicted 1, you're fucking wrong, idiot. It's Grandia 2, baby. Unironically, Grandia 2 has some of the best... I already knew that, Madge. What, that you're a dumb asshole? Yeah, I know. Let me give this one time. I've played through Grandia 2 so many fucking times. It's comforting, it's fun, the act system is peak as fuck. The voice acting is terrific for a dub in the 2000s. It's so much fun, and every time I look at it, I get more out of it. That's from Grandia 2. Didn't know this list is in reverse. Make your own list, coward. But no, Grandia 2 legitimately is just like... I can't say enough good things about it. It was one of the first games I played on my Dreamcast in like 2000 whatever. I played through it like 5 times. It has the zero weapons, which is a great gag, as you go through this whole optional ass area and get blown the fuck out by people using whatever fucking spell it is, the explosive spell. And then you get 0 weapons as your result, like your reward. Congrats. Now you do 0 damage. Why? Why would any game do that? Because it's funny. The worst part about Grandia 2 is that there's no New Game Plus. That's it. That's the only drawback. It has some of the best animations for attacks. Like Millennia, her first spell, her first actual skill, she walks up to you, gets lifted up to your head, and then fucking grinds her heel into your head. That's the skill. It's the funniest shit. And the spells have this like weird hybrid animation to them. Where like they're like FMVs that play over the battlefield. And it's super cool. Would I recommend playing the remaster or emulating? If you play the Steam version, play the Steam version. Steam version works perfectly. The problem with Grandia, the two of them, Grandia 1 was a PS1 game that got like upscaled and had some filters applied to it, like emulator filters, and that's all they did to it. Grandia 2 Anniversary Edition came out separately from that and was like an actual full-ass port. You also get the hard mode, which actually makes it somewhat challenging. The other problem with the game is that it was way too fucking easy. But no, Grandia 2 has some of the tightest animations. It has so many good moments in the story, so many good characters. It's the perfect game to me. Like it's truly terrific. Number one is Rock Band 3, valid. I had never played Rock Band 3. Genuinely never have. I only played Rock Band 1. Only the first one. I was a Guitar Hero household. Anyway, this is not. I already have it. Alright, put this in. So I'm not gonna actually like modify my whole list. It's just a list of things that could pop up in it. So Dark Souls 2, no. I'm gonna put a rough area of where it would end up on my list, and then that'll be that. And I'll probably keep modifying it. I'll also put the list in Discord. If anyone wants to like add theirs or just send it, I don't know, whatever. So Sonic Unleashed I'd probably put in the 60s. As high 70s, low 80s. Soundtrack fucks. FF6 I'd probably put it in the 60s. Because it was a good game. I didn't resonate with it as much as some people did. But I have to acknowledge what it did. And it was a good time. It's just, I think I played it at the wrong point in life. I think that's the problem with it. Ever do those tier list things? I've done tier lists before on the channel. I don't do them often though. I have to have like I have to have something I'm like emphatic about doing. Oh, one side note, Noriyuki Iwadare actually liked one of my tweets once, so you fucked everyone. We're like best friends. He's the composer for Grandia 2 and 1. The Grand Legacy, no. Not that good. Put that on my gamer resume. My gamer resume is fucking popping out the bando, brother. Hercules action game, honestly, I'd probably put it in the 80s. That game's tight. Cyber Slut would probably be 40s. Or high 30s. Mario Kart. Double Dash, I could see making it on here. Crash 2 would be 70s, probably. Crash 1 would be 50s. Surprised FF6 would be so high. It'd probably just take whatever It'd take whatever place, whatchamacallit, FF9 leaves. So, Crash 1 over Crash 2 is because, when I played Crash 1 and 2 through the Insane Trilogy, Crash 2, I hate the fact that you have to have the stupid fucking run fast boots before you can actually get the Platinum Relic. That's fucking stupid. I hate the fact that they have a time trial that is tied to the fact that you have to have a button that makes you go fast. Stupid. It also didn't have a level like Stormy Ascent. Stormy Ascent fucking pushes Crash 1 up for me super high because that level was so difficult, so ruthless. And getting the Platinum Relic on that is like unironically one of my top achievements of like 2020 or whatever. Yeah. It's worth noting that it's the Insane Trilogy version. I haven't played the base version. Level's too hard for you, Scott? It took me hours, days of trying to get that. Like, I think it was like 8 hours solid of attempts, like across several days. It also didn't help that I was playing through my capture card, which added latency. And I moved to playing on this when I bought my like big TV. I moved to playing on that, and I'm like, holy shit, I can get this much faster. Like, I did everything except for Stormy Ascent on a capture card. I did Stormy Ascent on low latency. I'm kind of built different like that. Shadow of Rome, no. DuckTales, 80s. Knack, 50s. Sacrilegious to put Knack in the same frame as, you know, Crash can go up to 40s, honestly. Sphinx, 90s at best. Knack at 50s is driven solely off the fact that I had a good time with it. It had enough challenge that it was fun. I had motivation to replay it in some capacity, even if the video I did make for it got immediately fucking downvoted on YouTube. And got fucking erased from the algorithm, and I'm still salty about that. I went out of my way to make like a trophy guide for Knack, because I did like the time trials and the Coliseum, because they're like 0.5% trophies. I'm like, this is an easy one for people. So here's how I did it. And then like I uploaded and it got immediately downvoted. So I went on my other fucking account and uploaded it. Dante's Inferno, 70s. It'd make it. Exo Primal would probably be 80s. No, it'd be 90s. Exo Primal's a lot of fun if you haven't played it. The downside is that it's live service, so one day it will be gone. But it's a very good romp. Where's Fortnite? No. Puzzle Bob will be 40s. You know, I'd go as far as 30s. Because I would just bundle them. I like Bust a Move. Everybody's Golf, this is probably the hottest take, but it'd be 20s. I don't think it would crack top 10 by a stretch. I would honestly put Everybody's Golf probably at 23. But I loved Everybody's Golf. It's so sad that it's like partially dead, but you can still play through it single player at least. I would also just bundle in Hot Shots to boost it a little bit. I don't think there's value in separating those so they all play identically. That reminds me, I should buy Clap Hands Golf. Yeah, new water bottle dropped. It's light blue. It doesn't really show in the light because lights are hard. It's 50 ounces. But yeah, so that's about where I'd put things. Can't wait till this is immediately out of date after playing Froth. Yeah, I mean, there are games that I forgot to put on here, like Spider-Man 2018 would probably make it. Just random shit I play. Like Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice might make it. It'd be low, but it might make it, depending on how it ends. Neon White's a perfect example of that. Would easily be 30s. It was not. It came out after I made it. It's time for Hot Shots Golf 3. No, I've been talking for 3.5 fucking hours, dude. It's time for me to raid and go fuck off. But yeah, that was my list. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll maybe do a reprisal of this in the next year or two. But yeah, that's it for a list. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye.